Boxing Diamond.
Welcome to another live episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report live YouTube show, podcast, and whatnot. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week, usual cast of characters, Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News, the one and only Jay Dill, Mr. Boxing Addict, joining us live from the UK. What you need, join us live from Trinidad. What's going on, ladies and gents?
Hey, it's a good evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say good evening, but I'm hanging in there. Yeah.
We are,
'cause-
you know what? We are above ground and breathing.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
sir.
good.
Yes, ma'am.
In spite of the fact that today's just been a mess for me personally. Condolences to those in Charleston who was killed as a result of some insane person who went in and shot up a church. It happened in my home state, so I'm doing this show with a heavy heart tonight. So with that being said, let's get the show going. For those who don't know, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show /blog/podcast that discusses all things boxing. The motto is when boxing is good, we'll talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. Bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. Find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Go to the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com, and repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com, where you'll find articles and videos and whatnot written by yours truly, as well as special contributors Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News, as well as Kayla M. Lewis, KBC Live on G Plus and YouTube. If you check the right of the page, you'll find links giving info to where to find the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, all over social media, all over the internet, all over the interwebs. Links to find us on Facebook, the 2G Plus pages. Link to find us on Tumblr, on our Podomatic, where you can find all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast. Links to find us on the Twitter handle, which is at P4P Boxing Report. Pinterest board, RSS feed if you want to subscribe to that and check out the show there. Stitcher Radio. We're on Stitcher Radio. Just go to stitcherradio.com and just look up Pound for Pound Boxing Report. That's POUND. The number 4, POUND Boxing Report. The email link, which is p4pboxingrpt@gmail.com. Lastly, the link where you can donate your account. Just go to donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. If you want to subscribe your Twitter account to Pound for Pound Boxing Report, and what happens is any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter account will automatically have the ability to retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. That being said, let's get the show started, breaking down what happened last week in the Sweet Science. I want to go and start with the heavyweight bout that happened in Birmingham, Alabama. Deontay Wilder defended his WBC heavyweight championship for the first time against Eric Molina. Won by 9th round TKO, but Wilder, he had his shaky moments in front of a sold-out crowd of over 9,000. But there were moments where Wilder, his form was off to me. He got hit with punches he did not need to get hit by. I thought he got stunned maybe once in the fight, but at the end of the day, it was just the overall talent and skill and power that really showed through as he knocked Molina down 4 times, I believe. First time, I want to say twice in the 5th. Once in the 9th round. I can't remember the other round he knocked him down in, but room for improvement for Deontay Wilder as far as I'm concerned. Ladies first, I'll go to you on this one, Gail. Your breakdown of the fight, I know in the aftermath, there was a lot of criticism of Wilder. Your thoughts?
Well, I think we have pretty high standards for Deontay, and we expected him to toy with Molina like a cat with a rat before it got killed. And Molina turned out, due credit to him, to be a lot tougher than everyone gave him credit for. So props to him. He's a tough son of a bitch, and I'd love to see him again. He didn't look like much, but you're absolutely right. He tagged Wilder, and I think the first time he really got to him, which is in the early rounds, I don't think he realized how much he'd hurt him. We had the benefit at home of watching Wilder, realizing he didn't quite have his feet under him. I don't think Molina grasped that, or maybe he would have gotten a little aggressive, and we might be having a very different conversation. But I think Wilder underestimated him, always a dangerous thing to do. And yeah, this was a big event for Deontay, bringing boxing back to Alabama, bringing a lot of celebrities to the crowd. You know, you don't think of an event in Birmingham as, you know, having, you know, that star power, but you see Charles Barkley sitting there, you saw Evander Holyfield sitting there. This was a really big deal for that city and that state. And, you know, I'll grant anybody having nerves get to him. Deontay's still really young, and that's, you know, he got to really feel what it was like to carry an event at that level. But he eventually prevailed. I think it, in the end, will be good for him. It's a learning experience. I think when a fighter gets tested like that, learns some hard lessons, it serves him well down the road, and he's going to need those lessons if he ever faces the really big names that we want him to, and of course the one we really want him to stand toe-to-toe with is Klitschko. So he needed this fight to be able to eventually make a good showing against someone like that.
I will go to you on this one, J. Dill. Kind of follow up on something Gail said during her analysis. My question is based on that. Do you think it was Wilder not fully respecting Molina? Do you think it was a case of Molina fighting above his head, if you will? Your thoughts?
Wilder learned the cardinal sin. Do not fight down to your competition, and do not fight levels below you, because you will get caught from a wounded animal. And when that happens and you get trapped, either you're going to stay down there, or you're going to get up, or you're going to get lucky and you avoid the trap. But Wilder got hit with certain punches that he don't have no business getting hit with, and Molina's not the type of opponent you should be getting that busy with. He was supposed to be a show display, and instead, if you looking like a beast, you have vulnerability to you. Now, it was an entertaining fight, I'll give you that, but you don't need to have an entertaining fight with a guy like Eric Molina. I mean, the guys he lost to got obliterated by, and Wilder was supposed to be showcasing, like, this is a journeyman, not really a gatekeeper. Made him look like a contender more so than a gatekeeper or journeyman. And for that, I have to say, like, Wilder needs to keep getting active now, because he's now at that level where he needs to be on them 2 fights a year type pace. He needs to correct his posture, his form. He needs to put more into his hooks. He needs to change it up with his jab a little bit, pace of it, and basically don't telegraph every shot for that right hand. I mean, he's too right hand happy for my teams. But side game. Go to the body.
Excuse me. Are you there, Taisha?
Yes.
Oh, you made it! You made it! Joining us live right now. News to the show, Taisha. As an aside, Taisha, after the show, I need for you to stay on with Gail. We got some things to discuss. I will go to you. What you need. You often, your views on boxing usually come from the technical side of the sport. In looking at Wilder's performance, there was some technical flaws that were very, very obvious. Mute your mic, J. Dill. I'm hearing some background noise there. And J. Dill actually mentioned that about the jab, the inconsistent jab, how he got hit with too many punches. My problem is for Wilder in breaking down the fight was his feet seemed to be a little bit wide for my taste. He sacrificed his height because of that, and the fact that he avoided punches too often by pulling his head back. Going forward, that will not work against taller fighters, particularly when you pull your head back with your head down. Um, Break down some of the flaws of Deontay Wilder, of that were exposed in this fight. Um, can they be improved? I think they can easily, but your breakdown, not of just Wilder, but of the fight itself, but in terms of Wilder and where he was really lacking in this fight.
Well, for me, the first thing that he lacked was that he kept on dropping his guard.
Right.
His guard was supposed to be here for a right hand, orthodox fighter. But he would drop the guard, and that's why he got caught with that left hook from Molina. Molina was able to hook him in the third round, and it just staggered him a little bit, his equilibrium. It got his attention, and then he proceeded onwards. The other technical flaw that he has is that with most boxers, it's the same thing. You see this shoulder here? Molina could go over the shoulder. So Molina countered him with an overhand right over his shoulder. Now, the major reason why Wilder makes that mistake is because he misreads distance sometimes. Molina was able to set that trap for him, go to the body, and then come over to the top to the head. But then Wilder started to read it in the later rounds, so that Molina couldn't do it. And Wilder did the right thing by putting up his double guard, the high guard, double guard, and moving backwards. So don't just pull back with your hands down, right? Pull back with the hands up. You see Floyd Mayweather do that. So
let me interrupt here. Do you think that can also be solved by Wilder also fighting more at an angle, turning his shoulders a certain way so he wouldn't be so square?
Well, he was side on. He was basically, if you watch at what Wilder was doing, he actually was imitating Mayweather. How Mayweather dealt with Pacquiao, he was dealing with Molina that way. And for a heavyweight, he's pretty impressive because he's pretty quick. But he's not, like you said, sometimes he doesn't go back into the roll and go down. If you're going to roll a shot that's overhand, you have to sink into it and go backwards.
Thanks for clearing up what I was saying. I was mentioning rolling with the shoulder, fighting with the shoulder, with the lead shoulder more in front instead of having the lead shoulder more parallel.
Right. But the thing with Wilder is he can also go into the high guard, the half guard stance, and the high guard stance, right? So if he's squared up a little, he goes to the high guard stance, and he blocks like this. If he's side on, he will hit you with the half guard stance. And sometimes Floyd does that. You saw it against Pacquiao, where he used the half guard stance to get those shots on the arms, right? So Wilder started to use that stance instead of just pulling straight back. Because when he pulled straight back, he could get caught still. And that's what Ali kept on getting hit with the leaping left hook and stuff like that. So Wilder kind of knows what to do. People were saying he was going straight back. He wasn't actually going straight back. He was actually using distance. The wide stance that he used is to prevent Molina from coming inside on him. It's an inbuilt defense when you have a wide stance. The problem with him is sometimes he square up too much, right? Like you were saying. So he needs to be a smaller target. But other than that, the other thing that is a problem with Wilder, and he has to be very careful, when he goes on the attack and he has his opponent hurt, he tends to wing shots very wide. And he gets kind of sloppy with his shots. He's quick, but he's sloppy with the shots. And he could get countered in between there with a straight shot, and that could put him down or stun him. So those are some of the things I saw. That his use of feints was pretty good. Wilder is a pretty good boxer when he's boxing. His shots are straight. He only gets kind of sloppy and crazy when he starts to really go for the home run sometimes, when he gets his opponent hurt. But by and large, I was impressed with his performance. I was impressed with his chin. I also was impressed with his ability to still continue with his opponent. He was a little bit right-hand happy from the 6th round onwards, and then he got his composure back in the 8th, I think, and in the 9th round, he did what he was supposed to do. Countered Molina.
Since we have a new guest on the show, unmute your mic, Taisha Lacey, joining us live right now. Give your analysis of Wilder's win over Eric Molina. What what did you like from Wilder, what did you not like, as well as the toughness that Eric Molina showed and how he was able to stun Wilder in the bout.
The biggest thing that I liked about Wilder in that fight is that the things that he took away from the Stavern fight. If you notice that in the Stavern fight, he started using the little left hook, and his trainer Breland is working with him on that, and you can see because he used it a lot more in this one. Everyone was saying how right hand happy he was, but he was also catching Molina with those left shots that set up the bigger right hand that actually did the most of the damage. And for a big man, the amount of jabs that he's able to throw and not get tired like most heavyweights do is amazing to me. The only thing I don't really like about what he didn't do in that is he did not go to the body enough. He was always head hunting. We all know that Wilder has tremendous power in his right hand, so everyone's going to be expecting that. You have to change it up so you can set it up and make your fight easier than what it was. You understand? I don't think Molina should have lasted that long, considering the type of opponent he is. If that makes it. I'm not trying to downplay Molina in any way. He's a tough SOB, but Wilder is skill set is above that. Now, on top of that, Wilder has a lot of improvement to do because his coming up, his fight, the people he were fighting wasn't top-notch people. So as he steps up, we're gonna see more of his flaws, and so will his trainer. So his trainer will be able to work on those flaws with him. Like you said, he has that wide stance. He does that in every fight he does, and I don't understand how people don't make him pay for it. Now, when he goes up and face a higher class fighter, they're gonna make him pay for those mistakes that he's making, like that pulling straight back that he was doing in the Molina fight, how he got caught. A better heavyweight is gonna capitalize on that and make him pay bad. As you can see, he got caught with that left, and it hurt him bad. Now I'm impressed on how he composed himself, didn't panic, and got it back together. But at the same time, Molina also didn't capitalize on it. He didn't go in there for the kill when he had him hurt, because he had Wilder very hurt. He did the stinky leg up in there. We all seen it. But as an overall thing, I think Wilder is the truth, but has a lot of improvement to be worked on.
Before we go to the future of Wilder, Mr. Boxing Addict, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was totally unimpressed, actually. I'll tell you why. I mean, let's put this into context. So, Molina was ranked 88th in the world. He's been knocked out a couple of times. He went in there he actually looked scared. He looked like Michael Spinks when he went in the ring with Tyson the first round or two. And Wilder should have gone in there and blew him out. He looked very, very easy to hit coming forward. And Molina did make him pay a few times. The way that I saw it, he should have gone in there and blasted him out. And he was getting hit far too often by a guy who is very average. And I think you put him in there with Povetkin or Hay or Fury or any of them, I think they'll expose him. I'm getting a bit of feedback there. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. At least I can.
Okay, good. So yeah, I was really unimpressed by him, actually. Like what you need was saying, he's very open when he's coming forward, winging those big shots. He boxed very well against Stavern, but that was because he was on the back foot and he was using his jab. I think he's actually better on his back foot, or at least staying sort of 50-50 with an opponent, using his range. When he's coming forward, winging those shots, somebody who's got a great hook, they'll time him and he's getting sparked out. So yeah, that's the way I see it. Future opponents, let's see him in there with somebody decent now who'll give him a real fight. I think Povetkin will beat him personally if he's next. But there you go.
I will throw the question out there if anybody can respond. The future of Wilder, of course, Alex Povetkin is his mandatory challenger. Povetkin destroyed Perez, I believe it was, in 91 seconds. Looking at this fight, if they were to fight next, I think Wilder, based on the mistakes he showed against Molina, could be in some real trouble. But we talked about this, I believe, What You Need. We talked about this either on this show or another show. We personally don't think that that Povetkin will happen this year. Will happen early 2016 sometime. Until then, the mistakes that Wilder showed in Molina, do you think, and this is open for everybody, do you think they can be corrected by the time a Povetkin fights happen? Anybody can chime in and respond.
I'll jump in. Yes, I think all of these are correctable. I think that all Wilder needs to do is get a good look at his performance, see what he did, figure out why it happened, and get around to correcting those bad habits before they really stick. I didn't see anything he couldn't correct. It may have, again, I think some of it was situational under the bright lights of coming home. It sounds good in theory. It sounds exciting. It sounds fun. Hey, that's a lot of pressure on a young guy. I think that it'll be corrected. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see, before he gets around to making a date with Povetkin, Chris Arreola got added to the Frampton undercard. If he wins, and then looking at his opponent, I would think he would. I might just toss old Chris in there with Deontay. And I'd pay good money to see that.
Actually, so if we really think about it, that's not a bad fight. Arreola, he's tough. He can take a shot. He's going to be there some rounds, but he's hittable, and he's not in great shape.
Absolutely hittable. And he has a huge following in Southern California and with the Mexican-American audience. And Arreola knocked out Molina in one round. So,
right.
Yeah, one of Molina's losses was to Arreola. So it makes a lot of sense.
So that could be a high-profile Showtime bout, maybe primetime PBC on NBC card. It would be a packed house wherever, particularly if it's on the West Coast.
If it's on the West Coast,
yeah.
It's a draw. And that's a fight they could easily do on the West Coast. Go back and look at his crazy-ass fight on the Porter-Bonet undercard with a guy named, I'm trying to think of the guy's first name, it's Hunter, and it was a crazy, crazy fight. It was 8 rounds of just sheer mayhem, nonstop. I was actually worried for both of them. I was sitting there wondering what the heck I was looking at. But that makes for an exciting fight. People love him, and he knows how to put on a show.
Taisha, J. Dill, What You Need, Boxing Addict, your thoughts?
Well, one thing about Eric Molina I want to say very quickly is Eric Molina only lost 2 fights. His very first fight in his career, which he got knocked out in, and the other one was against Chris Arreola. And this guy put down Chris Arreola, for those people who didn't watch the fight, in the first round. So it wasn't like, Chris Arreola just erased him and he was a bum. So, and this guy has been knocking out people a lot as well. So he has good power. And so I wanted to mention that about Eric Molina. Yes, he's not a world beater, but, he's one of those guys, you're hungry, they could give you a little trouble, So that was one thing I wanted to say. I wouldn't say any more.
Everybody else, the prospect of Wilder fighting Chris Arreola next, as well as the thoughts on a potential showdown against Povetkin.
I'd love to see the Arreola fight, definitely. Arreola goes in there and he always gives it his all. He'll probably get stretched by Wilder, to be fair, but for as long as it lasts, I think it'd be good, and it'd be nice to see how Wilder would react to somebody who's really going for him. I'm not totally convinced that he takes a shot that well, to be honest. I'm still yet to be convinced of that. So yeah, did Molina caught him fairly well, but it wasn't a knockout punch, you know, and he looked to be very wobbly to me. Molina should have jumped on him, and he could have finished him, in my opinion. But
I agree with you.
yeah, and I was just thinking, you know, imagine if Joshua went in there with Wilder right now. I think Joshua would blast him out. I really do. I think he's technically better. He punches as hard. He doesn't wing his shots. He throws very straight shots. So yeah, but still a bit unconvinced. I like Deontay. I hope he does well, but I think he just throws too. He can get away with it against average guys, but Povetkin's a very short, stocky guy who throws big, hard punches. And I think if he gets caught, he could be on wobbly legs.
Taisha, J. Dill.
The Areola fight, I'm not big on seeing it because I don't think Chris is going to do what we all want him to do. If it was the old Chris, maybe. The now Chris, I honestly don't think his heart is all the way in the game anymore. I think he's going to go in there and give us 1 or 2 rounds of him walking straight forward, walking him down like the old Chris used to do. But I don't think he's going to be able to take too many of the Wilder shots because he doesn't move, he doesn't do anything defensively. He's just a meat bag right in front of you, which makes for a great fight normally.
You're right.
But what happens is that Wilder's gonna just has that long, ridiculous reach over most of his opponents. So what he's gonna do is just keep them at bay for the most part, and then slap them with the right hand. He's not gonna be able to take too many of those. And Chris is has a hell of a chin, and I just don't see it happening. I don't want to see Chris in there to get hurt like that. That's just my opinion because I like Chris. And I just think that's just going to be a complete massacre. I don't think that's a good test for Wilder. I don't even think he's going to be able to get into Wilder to test his chin like we want to see Wilder's chin tested.
And as far as the potential Povetkin bout with Wilder,
that needs to happen. He can't keep taking these steps backwards. And like I said, I don't take anything from the people that he's fighting, but it's enough. It's time to step forward to prove. I mean, you have the belt. Now it's time to prove that you own it. You have it. Prove it. We all want to see the proving grounds. Get in there, step up, and fight some real people that's going to challenge you. That's going to test you. Stop fighting. These guys who trained 3 weeks before eating Twinkies and donuts, as their regimen. Stop it.
JDL, unmute your mic. I want your thoughts, bro.
I'm gonna say about Areola, bomb squad will land. As far as the Povetkin fight, you already know my thoughts on that. I said almost a month ago, Povetkin knocks out Wilder, but Wilder do need a fight like that because he needs to learn how to be more crafty. He needs a fight there where he knows he's not superior. And like Taisha said, man, like he needs to test himself. And I'm sorry, I ain't gonna talk like a parent, like I'm, nurturing my kid. I mean, I want to see Wilder become the truth, and becoming the truth is fighting nightmares and fighting horror flicks and fighting journeys that seem impossible right now. If you're going to fight giants, you're going to fight zombies, you're going to fight werewolves, you're going to fight some wizards. But the point is, can you go through all these journeys and obstacles and still win everything? Will you become the king of the thrones? Will this be House Wilder, or would you just spread around like the other regions?
And that's what we all want to see.
That's right.
We all know that he can fight. We can't take that from him. No matter who you get in the ring with, you have the chance of getting rocked and getting KO'd. I don't care who it could be David versus Goliath, and David will smack the shit out of you. Pardon my language. That can happen. It's boxing. Anything can happen.
Oh, you can cuss here. You can cuss here.
I can't. I won't take that away from Wilder. Okay, with his record, but at the same time, it's now time to leave that kiddie stuff behind. It's time to step in there, be a man, get punched, get rocked, and we want to see if how he's gonna react to that. Is he gonna react like a coward and panic, or is he gonna act like a true champion and prevail still? Is he going to be able to weather that storm and still come out on top like champions do?
I gotta say, my take on it is he beats Povetkin. All right, and I know he has a good chin. I've seen.
I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, and I'm saying hands down now. I've seen the guy fight. I saw Stavern rock him. He took it. Okay. And I saw now this guy, Eric Molina, hit him, and he took it. And he has great recuperation powers. He got a little stunned, but he has great recuperation powers. He's greatly athletic. This guy is very quick. His punches don't only have power, they have speed. And that's something different, okay? He's very, very fast. He may be a little sloppy when he starts to go banging at guys, but he's fast.
And they come from different angles.
And and sometimes you turn your back, he still can hit you even though you turned your back to him. So this guy is something. The only guy I think that beats him is Klitschko. I think anybody else, I think he can box. I've seen him box tall guys like him, and he knocked the guy out with a straight right. Wilder.
The difference is though that Molina and Stavern, they caught him with a shot, but they didn't jump on him afterwards. They didn't give him any punch.
Jump on him afterwards. That's the thing with Wilder. He recoups so fast. He's watching you. He's like Floyd. When Pacquiao hit Floyd cover up, Wilder cover up. You ain't got no openings. The only time you get an opening on Wilder is when he's either throwing a shot or he's being offensive. That's when you can counter him. But the thing about Wilder, and even if you watch at his knockdowns, is he feints you and then he throws another punch. How he got that guy with the hook, the guy was looking for him to jab him, and he hooked him from way out of his range, his field. The last knockdown, the guy threw a jab and Wilder countered over that jab, kind of like what Beater Beeve did. He countered him with a right hook over the jab. And he's fast. He pulled counters like nobody's business. He's got quick feet too. But heavyweight, this kid is anyway. But yes, I would love to see him. I would love to see him against Povetkin.
It looks very much to me like Molina couldn't sort of muster up the energy to keep going after him.
It's the jab. When there's a jab in your face, you're defensive. You know what I mean?
I think somebody like David Hay, for instance, if he were to come back and he caught him with that shot, he'd be all over him, winging punches, he'd knock him out, in my opinion.
You do realize that Wilder sparred David Hay. You do realize that Wilder sparred Vladimir Klitschko. You do understand this guy has training. This guy is he didn't just come from nowhere.
What you do? If back, I'll buy you a new microscope.
Sorry?
You said if he beats him, he'd buy you a new microscope.
Okay.
I'm very confident, actually, that Povetkin will knock him out. I really am.
See, my issue is, ladies and gents, is that I wonder if Povetkin will throw enough punches for Wilder. My problem is with Povetkin, sometimes he doesn't throw enough. He's not active enough. You need to have some activity. See, you can hurt Wilder, but you have to have some activity in order to capitalize hurting him. I wonder if Povetkin has that in him.
And Wilder's
because that was his main problem against Klitschko, someone of similar height and range. He just didn't throw enough.
But the thing with Klitschko's still a big, tall man, right? Who doesn't move with his weight. He's not athletic like Wilder.
And Wilder moves
Wilder
a lot
is
more.
as athletic as David Hay. He's as athletic as David Hay, or better. This kid is in incredible shape. That's why he can recoup so fast.
And because how Wilder moves, I wonder if Povetkin will be able to cut off the ring effectively against him.
He won't be able to. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen, and you can log it. we're gonna see him keeping this guy at out with the jab, and he's gonna slip up like he always does, and he's gonna get caught. Now, what's gonna happen here is where it's gonna be is I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is the dude gonna jump in there? Yes, he is. Is Wilder gonna sustain it? I doubt it. He's gonna go down. He's gonna go down for sure. And if what I don't see, what I can't say is if he's gonna recoup from it or if he's gonna fold. But I can almost guarantee that Povetkin is gonna give him that business, and we're all gonna be sitting on the edge of our seats, wondering and waiting to see if he's gonna be able to finish him.
If Povetkin, that's right. If Povetkin's clever about it, right? What he'll do, he'll let Wilder come to him. He won't go after him and try and cut the ring off, because if you notice in the Molina fight, the only time Wilder was really in trouble was when he thought he was on top and winging these wild shots. Povetkin can let him come to him, throw these wild shots and time him right, connect on his chin, and it's all over. That's my opinion.
Let's move on and talk about the other fights. I should have mentioned this in the original docket, but I didn't. Let's talk about the fights that happened Friday night. Erislandy Lara scoring an easy win over Delvin Rodriguez Friday in Chicago on Spike, 120-107 on all three scorecards. Lara, like I said, he dominated, scored a knockdown in round 6. I also thought he scored a knockdown in round 11. Rodriguez was just there. You knew from the beginning that this would be easy work for Lara, who's just the overall better boxer, more speed, hand speed, greater skill. Delvin Rodriguez, he's stiff, he's slow of feet. The question afterward is that Lara basically went all up on Twitter, calling everybody out, calling Canelo out for a rematch, called Triple G out. Did he do enough with this performance for folks to even entertain the thought of him fighting Triple G, for instance? I'll go to you on this one. Boxing at it, then you can follow up, Taisha.
Well, I'll actually pass this over to one of you guys because it was the only fight that I missed at the weekend, actually.
Okay, I'll go to you, Taisha.
Okay, well, the thing with Lara gets all his fights by doing exactly what you just said he did. He gets on Twitter, he shows up at the at the little conference thingies, walks up there, takes the mic, and asks for the fight. That's how Lara gets in the person's head. This is how he advertised himself, so to speak. Now, as far as if he did enough, on Friday night, I seen a different Lara than I've seen in previous fights. He wasn't running around. He wasn't using his feet as much as what they call running around in boxing. He was actually in there, banging in and out, in his face, and I loved every single minute of it. So is it enough to fight against these other names? These other names ain't fighting anybody. Fight Lara. He's up there. I mean, why not? Who else is he gonna fight? You're gonna keep making him fight bums, and then people are gonna just keep complaining that he's fighting bums. So give him the fight.
I'll go to you on this one, J. Dale, and you can follow up, Gail. Your thoughts on Lara's performance and kind of piggybacking on what Taisha said, how she saw something different in Lara, in saying that I still thought that Lara could have and should have knocked him out. Will Lara get these fights the big fights that he wants, or do you think it's a situation where he's high risk, low reward, where he's a really live dog, but he doesn't have enough capital with him in order for the big guys to risk themselves going into the ring with him? J. Dale.
Okay, I'm just gonna be quite honest. I can give a fuck what most boxing fans think when it comes to Lara. If Golovkin could fight Willie Monroe Jr., which is not a draw, then he could fight Erislandy Lara. If he could,
yes,
you're right. You're right. You're right.
I mean, you could fight Friday night fighter you could fight Eris Landy Lar. I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't want to hear YTBC saying, "Oh, Lar is boring. He moves too much. He don't have another gear in him. He's too cautious." And
Well, that cautious fight, as far as I'm concerned, beat Canelo.
I mean, I'm sorry. Lar is better than Gabe Rosado. Lar is better than Moreau Jr. to an extent. Lar can give you a competitive match. Now, when Lar takes Triple G's boxing, meaning like the jab, um, the way Triple G could shorten up his hooks and stuff like that, can Lara sustain his distance getting cut down? And if he can't turn Triple G around and counter him here and there, because I'm afraid Lara might do some Willie Moreau shit. He'll be in the right range, but he'll be reluctant to throw some because Triple G could counter you and time you too. So Lara's going to have to use not just his athleticism, but Lara is going to have to do something that I don't think he's capable of. Use a hook on Triple G to get your distance. And Lara's not good with his right hook. He don't have a good hook game. And another thing with Lara is he's not explosive enough as far as to make his shots have meaning to him. His punching technique is a little average for my taste, but with Triple G, you got to make your shots have some meaning to them for him to respect your distance. And Lara's not doing that. And another thing Lara has a weakness is he don't go to the body enough. He don't set shots body, head, body to get rid of guys. And if he can start doing that, and if he does that against Triple G, he'll have a chance. But I know stylistically Lara could stay in the fight, but I don't think he has the second gear, the will, the sheer will to finish a guy like Triple G. I don't think he got in him, and it takes a fight to get rid of Golovkin more so than a boxing match. I mean, yeah, can Lara take away Triple G's jab? Yes, but Triple G don't need a jab to get his distance. He could feint his punches to get in. I mean, that's what Triple G could do what Joe Frazier do. Don't even have to lead with no punches just to get close. And once he gets his right range, he'll throw a shot to the body, or he'll set up a low shot to throw a high up top shot, and you get wounded, man. And I don't know, Lara just ain't got the killer instinct. So, but I still want to see that fight just to see if I'm wrong or I'm right. And I like to see Triple G fight somebody like Lara. I'd give him credit if he beat Lara because it's better than saying some Rosado, some Moreau Jr., or whomever the fuck. So that's all I gotta say.
Gail, and what you need?
I think that was a very good analysis. I think the barriers are going to be more outside the ring than inside the ring. We're going to have to cross the Showtime, HBO, Heyman, PBC divide to get these two guys together. So assuming that's a possibility, then your second issue is that Triple G's fan base is starting to be very much based in Southern California, with a few exceptions with a New York audience to draw. And Lara presents a problem in that regard. Triple G's just done a fight in Los Angeles, very successful. He probably is due for an East Coast fight. Maybe it makes sense. But that's going to start being an issue as well. Nevertheless, it would be an interesting fight to see. The other problem with Triple G is he wants to unify that division. I think that is the right goal for him and the right thing to do for boxing. And Lara doesn't have anything to offer him. He would rather fight a guy like Andy Lee, who's got a belt. So we're going to have an issue there. But it is a fight I'd love to see. And I think you're absolutely right. Lara doesn't have the power to stop the fight. And Triple G lately has a way of letting guys test him, and if he ascertains that they don't have enough power to come get him, then he has no fear, and he comes right at him. And he's willing to take a shot to land a shot, and we've seen that several times recently. So I think Lara would be in trouble.
What you need?
Well, you asked about Lara's performance first of all, so I will just be brief. I agree with Jay Deal. Uh, he didn't go to the body enough. Um, yes, Rodriguez was kind of out of there in the 10th round, but then he sort of, being hurt, he started to land some rights on Lara, and Lara backed off a bit of his aggression. But I think his greatest success came in the 6th round because he was going to the body and then going to the head, and that's how he feinted Rodriguez, caused him to throw a jab, and then he countered him. So that's how he knocked him down. And then he knocked him down again, I guess, but he didn't give him that one. So all I'm saying is he did try to turn it up. He did try to get him out of there. But I think all Lara really has to do, he's an excellent technician. All he has to do is actually go to the body a little bit more, mix it up a little bit more. His trainer was saying he's good to go, and he was good to go, but you have to still keep your composure and not go head happy, That was his only problem in that fight, actually, to my opinion. I loved his Pernod Whitaker go low, pivot while he's going low, swivel, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Love to watch that kind of stuff. And, he knew what his opponent was. From the opening bell, he was blazing this guy up. I think if he had mixed up his speed a little bit, feint the guy a little bit more, so that he don't always throw punches, because when a guy gets used to your power, now he knows what to expect. So he had to mix it up a little bit. Lara's style is not one where he throws combinations of 5 and 6 punch combinations. You ain't gonna get that from Lara. You'll get 2, 3 punch combinations at most. So Lara needed to be able to get this guy out there. He had to make this guy anticipate so that he could counter him. And this is basically what Lara did to knock him down the first time. So that's what Lara has to do to get that guy out of there. Break him down and then get him out of there. And that's what he tried to do, but he still, it's been a while, it seems, since he's done that. I think that's what happened. Now, in terms of the guys he called out, I think he called out Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, and Triple G. Okay? Now, to be honest with you guys, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys.
He gave Floyd a heck of a fight.
He will make a heck of a fight with all of those guys. It'll be a great fight. Okay? That's the thing. This is the amazing thing about it. But the problem is, his performance wasn't spectacular. It wasn't sensational.
Right.
It was a clinic, but it wasn't sensational. He didn't make a huge statement saying, I'm coming to get you guys. This guy is nobody, and this is what I do to nobodies. Below my level, and this is what we do to them. We give them the bum treatment. He didn't exactly do that. He almost did, but he didn't exactly do that. So he didn't make that statement for people to thirst for that fight between whoever. Oh yeah, this guy, he's ready for these guys. But he would give Triple G hell. He'd be turning him whole night in the direction he doesn't want to turn. Triple G wouldn't get off his jab because Lara won't be there. He'd be tapping him on the shoulder. I'm over here, buddy. That's the way Lara is. Okay, he's Mr. Speedy when it comes to feet. He never stays for you to set to really land a punch on him. And even if you lead with your lead hand, you're gonna be hitting air because Lara is not gonna be there. So Lara is a difficult guy for Cotto, for Mayweather, for Triple G, for Canelo. Well, we all know he was difficult for Canelo because Canelo was like.
I still feel he beat Canelo. I don't care what anybody says.
Some people argue that. I thought Canelo won, but at the end of the day, it was hell. He gave Canelo fits. And Triple G is not as fast as Canelo is with his hands, and his foot speed is deceptively quick, but he's not really a quick-footed guy either. He tries to cut off the ring. But if you turn Triple G, I already know how to beat Triple G. So if you turn Triple G a certain way and you anticipate him, he's going to be swinging that air. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you guys now. I know how to beat this guy.
There's two ways to really beat Triple G. It's to turn him, like you said, and force him to fight backwards.
Well, you only force him to fight backwards in the later rounds. You got to get his stamina out. He's really good for the first 4 rounds, and then he sort of gasses in the 5th, 6th, and then he comes back, catches the win in the 8th, 9th, 10th, So you have to know where to attack him and push him back and so on. But that's a whole other story for another day. I don't want to talk about it. My point is, My point though is that Lara didn't do enough, unfortunately for him, to really place himself in a position for people to really rally behind him and say, okay, yeah, fight Triple G or fight Mayweather or fight Cotto. We want to see that fight. You know, it's not enough. He didn't do enough. Maybe when his next fight, depending on who his opponent is, he'll do enough to make that happen.
In short, he's not making statements like Terrence Crawford's been making over the past 3-4 fights.
There you go. And they set it up for him to make a statement in this fight. They set him up
hasn't done it.
He didn't quite do it. He didn't quite get there.
Let's move on, and I'll go to you on this one, Taisha. We've talked about Artur Beterbiev on the show quite a few times. His destruction of Tavares Cloud, his destruction of Campillo. He fought on the undercard of this bout, scoring a 7th round TKO over a guy by the name of Johnson. The thing about Beterbiev, he's a really good pressure fighter, and him and Kovalev and Stevenson are clearly the 3 hardest punchers in the division. An argument can be made that Beterbiev, he may be the hardest puncher. We're not quite sure yet because of the level of competition. Your thoughts on his win over Johnson, and is it time for him, Beterbiev, to kind of step up in competition level? I know he fought Cloud and Campillo. People will look at that, but Cloud, he's mentally checked out, and Campillo, he's old. So your thoughts on Beterbiev?
My thoughts on it is that I'm ready to see everyone step up. You can't stay. You're not going to gain anything from staying where you're at. I mean, you use these people as a step ladder to get to the bigger fights. If you stay on the same level, you're getting nothing out of it. You're just there. You're not doing anything positive for your career. Do I think he has what it takes to step up and be some of the higher people? Of course I do. The dude is he's amazing. Now, I haven't watched too many of his fights, but I did catch a few of them. And from what I've seen, it's time to step up as well. I got to plug my phone in, I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, J Dill, your thoughts?
Beterbiev in this fight against a slick southpaw as Alexander Johnson, who fought pretty low, Beterbiev showed me another dimension of his game. You know, he showed me how he could set you up from short range and set up some short distance punching, and he knows how to punch from the shoulder. He knows how to twist and use his torque. He could just change gears with his punches, and he's shown that he's pretty crafty. And I didn't think he had that in his game until I saw this fight. And this guy against some crafty guys, he'll still give him hell. But the next fight I like to see him in is against Ismail Salak, or however you pronounce his name. I like to see how he goes against him, and after that, I could go reevaluate what level more likely he's in, and then if he dominates Ismail Salak like Kovalev did, then I like to see him fight Fanfare and see how he does against him as well. Somebody lengthy, tall, give him some action, and that'll be fireworks right there. If he dominates Fanfare, I like to see him fight Jean Pascal, and see how that fight goes. First 4 rounds should be fireworks, though. So, yeah. But Beterbiev showed me that he got some skills. He showed me that he's crafty, and I like to see how he go against the guys I just mentioned, and then I could say, okay, he's ready for Kovalev. Stevenson, I say Stevenson has probably like 3 more fights in him before he goes on a decline, and we're not really going to talk about him as a top-tier guy. So I don't know if nobody's picking up on Stevenson, but that's what I'm picking up on.
If Kovalev doesn't fight Chilemba, for instance, I wouldn't mind seeing Chilemba in there with Beterbiev as well.
Oh, man, that'll be a hell of a fight, too. I like that matchup. But overall, it's eventually going to be a Beterbiev and Kovalev division. Eventually, them two going to clash, and That's the fight I'm going to say is going to be the fight in that division.
Uh,
Whoever wants to get the mic next, go ahead.
the mic is open for anybody who wants to chime in.
It's a great little division. You know, you've got a lot of talent. You've got several other folks bubbling just under this level who, in another couple of fights, could look awfully good. There's a young light heavyweight who was also on the Showtime undercard, Ahmed El-Biali. Got a very early knockout, looked good. He didn't fight an opponent of, great merit, but he has continued to look really strong. He'll eventually get his shot to step up to this level. And who would have thought we'd be talking about the light heavyweight division with all this talent in it even 6 months ago, much less a year or two ago? Not a chance. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I think he's about ready to just step up now and fight some of those guys. Maybe not Kovalev just yet or Stevenson, but let's see him in there with maybe Fonfara or Pascal and see how he deals with those guys who are legitimate top 10 guys,
I'd love to see him in with Fonfara, and Fonfara earned it after his beatdown of Chavez Jr.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I mean, there's history, obviously, with Kovalev. He's got that decision over him from the amateurs. So
Yeah,
that fight can build.
From what I hear, they don't like each other.
Yeah, that'll be a real grudge match, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
What you need? Your thoughts?
Can you
What
hear
you
me?
need?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if I were to match up Bitter Beef, I would match him up with a guy called Eliter Alvarez. Now, I think he fought over the weekend as well and knocked out his opponent, which was Anatoly Dudchenko, right? He knocked him out in the second round. This guy's undefeated as well, and he actually beat the guy who Bitter Beef beat. He beat Alexander Johnson by a unanimous decision. So that would be an interesting guy to fight, Colombian dude. And he was, I think, if not on this undercard, he was on some other undercard. So that would be an interesting matchup. Two undefeated fighters. I think Bitter Beef's 8 wins now. This guy has 14 wins, so he has a little bit more experience than Bitter Beef. That would be a nice matchup. Bitter Beef wants to fight these big names already, but I think they need to still move him up slowly. 2 reasons. One, I see that he's still getting hit quite easily. Johnson was hitting him. I know Johnson's a slick southpaw, but I think Johnson came back in the 6th round and really actually started to walk Bitter Beef down. Now, I know Bitter Beef was actually using that to counterpunch Johnson, which was, I mean, I'm amazed at Bitter Beef. He's a greater thinker than Kovalev. Let me just be honest. If the only thing that separates Kovalev from Bitter Beef right now and Adonis Stevenson from Bitter Beef is experience, right? These guys have more fights. They have fought more elite athletes, so that Bitter Beef just lacks that experience. But in terms of intelligence, I think Bitter Beef's more intelligent than Adonis, and I think he's more intelligent than Kovalev. And this fight proved that. For 2 reasons. One, Bitter Beef was observing Johnson, and he was able to time him. He was able to time his feints and able to land that jab that knocked him down the first time. Second time was a check hook that put him down. And the third time was a check hook and what we call a hammer punch. As Mexicans usually use it. It's a pivot into a right hook that comes down on the head, the temple area of your opponent. So he check hooked him. He did the hook. He did 2 hooks. A hook this way, and then he hooked him this way. And it was brilliant because, again, he was reading this guy coming in on him, and he basically counterpunched him to knock him out. He knocked him down 4 times, but basically he counterpunched him. So this is a thinking fighter in there. And but the problem with him is he still gets hit too often. He doesn't always respect distance, and that's something he has to work on. Deontay Wilder did the same punch against Molina, and Deontay Wilder was doing the same things Bitter Beef was doing, but in a different way. He was using counter-punching to knock out his opponent. These guys are developing into things that I'm really impressed with them, actually, because they're thinking in there. They're not just, fighting off of So I think he's smarter than Adonis Stevenson, and I think he's smarter than Kovalev. This guy is something to reckon with, but he needs more experience.
Let's move on to the fights on HBO, the doubleheader on HBO in New York at the Little Garden, headlined by Nicholas Walters, scoring as far as I'm concerned, a terrific win over Marriaga. I know during the broadcast you had some boos. I'm going back to you on this one, what you need. This fight reminded me of Linares and Mitchell in a sense because it was really a chess match if people really paying attention to it. Walters is a really improving fighter. He had to use his brain in his bout to get to Marriaga because Marriaga was dangerous, particularly with the right hand throughout. I loved how he used double and triple jabs. I loved how he would go to the body with the left hook off the jab. He stepped around. He eventually scored a knockdown in round 9, and he had his way for the most part, but Marriaga, he's tough. I want to see him again personally. I know the big discussion heading into the bout was the fact that Walters didn't make weight. He was like a pound and a half over. He blew up to 145 by the time he entered the ring. But for me, this was a very good fight. Very good fight for as I'm concerned. Your thoughts?
Heavy-handed Marriaga. Very heavy-handed. Actually, the guy who I thought was landing the harder punches was Marriaga early on in the fight. He's a very, very powerful puncher. But the problem with this fight was essentially you had a lightweight fighting a welterweight.
Welterweight, yeah.
That's essentially why Marriaga didn't have the impact he really needed to have against Walters, the size difference. But having said that, Walters started to condition Marriaga by landing the left hook to his liver area and a sort of left hook uppercut to his breadbasket.
Sternum.
Yes, his sternum. And you're also using that jab to the pit. He was mixing it up to the head and to the pit. And again, people don't understand wide stances. Wide stances are designed with inbuilt defense. Like, okay, Deontay Wilder was leaning forward. He wasn't leaning downwards. He was leaning forward. That's called a virtual illusion, that you're closer than you really are. Okay? And that's the same thing Nicholas Walters was doing. He was leaning forward, and then he would feint as if he's going to throw, or he would throw the jab. So because Marriaga wasn't used to that level of competition, Walters was able, with his experience at the highest level, to break down Marriaga. You saw Walters break a smile somewhere in the 5th round, I think it was, after he was rocked somewhere in the 4th. He broke a smile because he realized how to break this guy. He solved
He had him at that point. He knew he had him.
In the 5th round. And it was over from then on. The fight was over. But again, you know, it's beautiful to watch chess matches, you know, and watch what these guys are doing in there. But the problem I have with Nicholas Walters is he still stands too much in front of his opponent. He does not pivot and turn his opponent sufficiently. And a guy like Lomachenko will take the ultimate advantage of that. And his range and his distance will be thrown off because Lomachenko never stays in one position for too long. He's constantly moving, constantly rotating, constantly looking for that angle. So a guy like Lomachenko, Walters is going to have to change up. But what's amazing about Walters is this is the first time I've seen him so religious to the body. I mean, this guy changes up his act every single fight. He fights differently every single fight.
That's why I say he's an improving fighter because
it's impressive. Yeah.
He has different tactics for different opponents, different style for different opponents. You don't see that in every fighter. A lot of fighters fight one way throughout. He's evolving. He's changing against each fighter. In some instances, from round to round.
Yes, he also adapted. Yes, he had the power of adaptation. He actually adapted to that overhand right, and he timed it, and he was able to counter the overhand right. There's a lot of beautiful things he did in that fight. I have to admit. But I gotta say though, Marriaga also adapted. But the problem with Marriaga, he was taking too much punishment to the body to try and land some of his shots. And I think the major problem in this fight was size.
I'm going to go on to you on this one, Mr. Boxing Addict, because last week you said that Marriaga would beat Nicholas Walters. You predicted it here. I'm going to give you the floor right now because I was trying to tell you, look, different levels. This is professional. Walters is too improved, and Marriaga, who has he fought as a professional? So the floor is yours, sir.
Well, you know, in my defence, I did say that Marriaga would give him more problems than we thought, and he did. Certainly for 6 or 7 rounds of the fight. It was hard punching. He gave it a really good go at times, but you know, Walters was really slick on the night. Actually, he showed to me how good he actually is. I knew he was good before, but he was really good. He's got good range, good feet. He could take a shot as well because he took a few in the fight and came firing straight back, and was always giving as good as he got. But I was really disappointed again to see another fighter coming in overweight. It's becoming really annoying now, and I'm starting to think that some of these fighters are doing it on purpose to gain an advantage going into the fight. Because he looked so much bigger, you know. So he saw sort of 5 or 6 rounds into the fight that Marriaga couldn't really, even though he's a big puncher, he was even struggling to hurt him. He was struggling just in size and range and everything, you know. So great performance by Walters. I think the problem he has at the moment is he's going to struggle to do that weight, and the big fights for him are at that weight. He doesn't really want to move up to super feather, does he? Because then you're getting into all the sort of Japanese fighters and stuff, and he wants to stay in America really and fight Lomachenko. So hopefully that fight will happen. Maybe even Gary Russell could be down the line, and he proved what a good fighter he is in his last outing. Yeah, you know, Walters was really super impressive, and Marriaga can come back again. He didn't let me down. I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Let me tell you something. I know Gary Russell Jr. really improved in his win over Johnny Gonzalez, but he's not beating Nicholas Walters. He's just not.
No, I agree. Gonzalez is a different cup of tea to Walters, certainly.
I'll go to you on this one, Taisha. Kind of expand on the issue that both Boxing Addict and What You Need was referring to in terms of the issue of weight, the size of Nicholas Walters and how he couldn't make weight. Break down his performance, and the question is this: is he really a featherweight, or is Nicholas Walters outgrowing the division at this point? You, Taish. Unmute your mic, please.
Well, first off, he's definitely outgrown the weight. I mean, you see how much he ballooned up? Holy cow. Second of all, I don't think the fight would have went the way it did had the weights been a little closer. Like you said, Marriaga was fighting someone in a whole different weight class, period. Now, outside of the weight, Walters was magnificent. It was a great fight. Like you said, it was a chess match. And it was a damn good one to watch. As far as, I mean, I still think Walters has a bit of improving to do himself. Marriaga caught him a few times, but he also bounced back immediately. So that, it was all good. I loved it. He didn't panic. He didn't show that he was like in any serious damage, which I don't know if he was or not. It seemed like he was. But other than that, I mean, it was just a spectacular fight. I really don't have any ups or downs about it, except for the whole weight thing. I don't think they should be able to fight if you're freaking a weight or 2 classes ahead of the guy that you're fighting. That's not fair. I don't care what kind of money's involved for the fight. You know what I'm saying? You didn't make weight, you don't get the fight.
And I know after the fight, Lomachenko folks, when asked about the fight, they were kind of hesitant to fight Walters because of the issue of weight. I will go to you, J. Dill. Your thoughts on the fight? Should Walters and Lomachenko fight if the fight will ever happen? Your thoughts on that as well.
Man, first the fight with Marriaga, I enjoyed the fight. It was entertaining. It was a good chess match. Good change of pace. I felt like Marriaga stunned Walters a few times with them overhand rights. but Walter showed how good his recovery is, and he went straight back to that body, boy. Um, them left hooks to the liver, left hooks to the sternum. I mean, he just took the wind out of Marriaga. It was times Marriaga was ready to go with them body shots himself, but Walters didn't capitalize. But both guys were game. Um, Walter's jab was the key to this fight. The change of pace, the gears they put from the body to the head, just to set up other shots, was beautiful. Walters did well with his range, but at the same time with his stance, he was always deceptive to that same punch by Marriaga. And but at the same time, I will have to say that Walters showed me that not only can he go to the body, not only can he show good ring generalship, he also showed me how tough he really is. I mean, I saw it a little bit in the Danier fight, but I just thought his size just eventually dominated Danier, and that uppercut was vicious. But this fight, yeah, I admit the weight kind of made him take those punches. I observed them right hands because I think if Walters was like at 131 or 132 rehydration, I think he takes a knockdown in that fight by Marriaga. But having 13 plus pounds difference or almost 19-pound difference makes a lot difference on absorbing a punch. But anyways, we're not going to talk about that. Skill won this fight more so than size. Going to that body wore down Marriaga. It took the sting out of his punches. And Marriaga still fought him good, but Walter showed he could box, he could fight, he could. And I don't give a fuck about the crowd booing that fight. At the end of the day, the crowd is booing me. I mean, the crowd bores me with their intellect with boxing. So,
Damn.
I mean,
Dang, tell them why you mad, son.
Yeah, exactly.
So wise up, smarten up, crowd. Shit. Know greatness when you see it, because it don't come every day. Walters, I like to see him against Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko needs that type of challenge, and I think Walters needs that type of challenge from Lomachenko. They both need one another to get better, more craftier, and it'll be a hell of a fight. And let me get my popcorn ready for that, but it's gonna be homemade, no preserves.
And I'll put this out here. If the fight doesn't happen, I would love to see Walters. I doubt if it'll happen. And I'll put this on the Pound for Pound Twitter page. I would love to see a Walters Uchiyama fight at 130.
Yeah.
That would be
That'd a good
dynamite.
fight.
That would be
That'd a good
dynamite.
fight. I'll tell you who else wouldn't be a bad fight is Pedraza at the higher weight. I'll tell you, though, if we're talking him staying in the weight class, which, is debatable, what about Lee Selby?
Selby's not ready for him yet.
Yeah.
No.
Be a fun fight. Be a fun fight.
For Walters,
Selby would get some rounds early on, but the size,
Yeah.
the pressure, the power would eventually get to Selby. Not yet.
And that jab.
I think
And
Gary
the jab- the
Russell.
jab is
Selby's a pretty good boxer, though.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good
I
boxer.
think he might do a better job than we think. I think Lomachenko is still being dangled off in the distance. I think we're going to have some more anticipation for that one. I think Gary Russell is a very good possibility, and I think that'd be a good fight. What I kept thinking about, though, watching this fight was just how good Walters will be on the day he finally reaches welterweight, and that will happen. And as long as he can carry some power up to that higher weight class, that's going to be fun to watch.
he's got a great defence as well, hasn't he? He's got those big long elbows and it's very hard to hit at times as well.
He's a really tall lightweight. I mean, he's
Yeah.
really a tall lightweight. So he's destined for great things. It's fun to watch. It really was a turning point in that fourth round when Marriaga did hit him with several right hands pretty hard. But the fact that he weathered them, got out of the round, and probably started thinking to himself, well, I think that's about the best he's got, and I took that, and I'm okay. Let's go. And off we went. And by the end of the fight, Marriaga had slowed down so much that by the final stats, Walters had thrown 100 more punches than Marriaga. And I wouldn't have guessed that until I saw it on paper. But that's how much Marriaga got slowed down near the end.
Well, I'm already hearing early talk, long-term prognostication of Walters fighting the guy who fought on the undercard, Felix Verdejo. Verdejo making his HBO debut against Ivan Najera, scoring an exciting 10-round win, 100-88, I believe, on 2 scorecards, 99, 89 on the other. Verdejo, 22-year-old kid from Puerto Rico, I think he fought in the 2012 Olympics. Very skilled, well-rounded guy who can move, who can box. He showed he's tough, and he came into this fight with an injured left hand and still performed very well. Najera, he had some moments early on, but just the overall talent in the class, the skill set of Verdejo showed his way through. At the end of the day, I thought he won every round despite Najera having his moments, and I'll go to you on this one. I'm Taisha. Very good action fight, very good performance for Verdejo. Impressive debut, HBO debut that will surely leave the boxing fans wanting to see more of him, and will have HBO very interested in him. Taisha? Are you there, Taisha? Seems like she's not here right now.
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say this about both fighters. They were both fucking amazing. That was probably one of the best fights that I've seen here in probably like the last month and a half. It was great. Now, what I see with, oh Lord, what is his name?
Verdejo?
Yes, Felix. I'm just going to call him Felix.
Okay.
What I see in him is that I see in a lot of mistakes that he made as being the same kind of mistakes that that Wilder was making. Like as far as those winging shots, you swinging at the air type deal. I think if he goes up against someone like you guys are all talking about, like Walters, he's gonna get rocked for sure doing that type of nonsense. I don't know if it was just like that bravado that was kicking in because the dude had tagged him a few times and he was just angry over it, but moving up or fighting someone else different, that's not the type of thing that's going to be able to fly. He's going to get stuck like that. As far as the rest of his performance, I mean, it was damn near rock solid. And I say that for both guys because I don't know what the other guy's name is. Najera, there you go.
Najera, I'm sorry.
Najera.
Yeah, Najera, he also was, I mean, he didn't come there just to, be someone's challenger. He came there to show why he's here and the reason that he's here. And I want to see a lot more of him. I didn't know who he was until that night. So I was instantly drawn to his style of fighting, his machismo, and his heart. The kid had tons of heart. Just Felix was just the better guy that night. So outside of that, I mean, I have no complaints about the fight. It was a great fight.
I will sum up some of your criticisms on the fact that Verdejo, he's young, ambitious, big full of himself at this point. You probably think he can go through anything, he can punch through walls. That's just youthful exuberance. And I think in time, once he gets some experience, and probably once he gets really tagged, that will be corrected. I will go tell you on this one, Gail, your thoughts of Verdejo's win over Najera. And to Taisha's point, I want to see Najera again. He's a good little fighter.
We had 2 really good, tough Texans in the ring this weekend. You had Najera, who is the first guy to take Verdejo that far. Only 2 guys before that had ever gone to the scorecards with Verdejo, and they were a 6 and an 8 round fight. So all due credit to Najera for doing that. And your other Texan was Eric Molina. So they do breed them tough in Texas, and I would see either of those guys again. They performed well. They came in with a very serious attitude, and they beat expectations. And there's a lot to be said for beating expectations. But Verdejo put on a clinic. Let's face it. He is, like we said about a couple other guys tonight, he's the real deal. And Puerto Rico is going to need another star to put their flag behind. Miguel Cotto is not going to, be fighting all that much longer. So he's the next crown, and he's earned it. As young as he is, he's earned it.
I'll go to Jay Dill. He's left. I'm sorry. Hopefully he'll be back. I'll go to you on this one, Boxing Addict. If you saw the fight, your impressions. And for me, given the landscape of the lightweight division, Crawford's left. There's no superstar. There's really no star there. Let's just put, damn, a superstar. There's no star there. No really high visible fighter there. He could be on the fast track to a world title within the next 12 to 18 months. So your thoughts on Verdejo and his performance?
Yeah, he looks extremely impressive. Very slick. The guy, the little, was he a Mexican who was in there with him? He was really, really tough. How he managed to last it out, I don't know, but really tough guy. And he looks like he could be very, very good. It looks like HBO are going to get behind him. And like Gail was saying, Puerto Rico need a new star. So let's see how he progresses. There were parts of the fight where, he got tagged himself a couple of times and he was starting to leave himself a little bit open towards the end. Maybe that was just over-exuberance, thinking he'd won the fight and, he's putting on a bit of a show. I don't know. But, in that division, yeah, he could pretty much make it to the top of that division or certainly near it quite quickly. There was a guy fighting... I don't think we touched on it. There was a guy called Dejan Zlatican who was on the undercard of the Deontay Wilder card. And he's in that division. He beat Ricky Burns and he beat an unbeaten guy the other night. And he's a real sort of roughhouse, come forward, relentless guy. Maybe he could be somebody who could fight in the future.
Yeah,
he's really tough. Man.
You're right about that. If memory serves me correct, Zlatican is now mandatory for Linares.
Yeah, and I could see him giving Linares a lot of problems, actually. Although I do believe that they're trying to organise the rematch with Ricky Burns with Kevin Mitchell at the moment, which I really want to see. So we'll see how that pans out. But this Zlatican proved that it wasn't a sort of, it wasn't a fluke that he beat Ricky Burns, because he demolished this guy the other night. He was unbeaten. And he's in there with a shout at a title now. So yeah, let's see how Verdejo gets on. But he looks very slick, really good boxer. But he's still a prospect at the moment. So let's see what he's like when he's really under pressure against a top level guy.
Your thoughts, J. Dill?
I'm not impressed by Verdejo. I know he beat Errol.
Wow.
He's going to be the equivalent to me as another Thomas Delorme in a way.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a nice
Ouch.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Well, look, even Taisha unmute her mic for that. I mean, wow.
Delorme? Really? Delorme's a freaking bum. At least Felix has some type of... Oh my God! I'm shocked to the part.
Say fucking bum, because I know you want to cuss.
Yeah, he is, dude. Delorme is a bum. But I still see Felix as being a growing into this and having a bright potential future here.
No, let J. Dill give a chance to explain himself. Go ahead, bro.
Delorme was doing what Verdejo was doing against a lot of opponents at the welterweight division till top rank or I think Golden Boy, whomever promotion it was, they made him step it up and he fought Abregu. Abregu, he got aggressive, fought his normal fight. Abregu switched to southpaw or something like that and started catching Delorme with a couple shots, and Delorme couldn't recover. Now, am I Do I see Verdejo having more balls and more recovery than Delorme? Yes, I do. But I mean, if he keeps on getting these wild exchanges, he gonna get caught with something nasty. And when he gets caught, I like to see how he fights on the inside. I like to see how he fights out of things. I want to see how he gets recovered. I need to see him fight somebody crafty, somebody with more experience before I give him this praise that y'all doing, saying, "Ooh, he's the future." Because that's what I was saying about Thomas Delorme. God damn it, and he was supposed to Puerto Rico's next big thing, even though he was getting a degree in drafting and stuff. But the point is, he was my guy that I was promoting on my YouTube channel. And then the brag dude just shattered them dreams. Then Delorme went from 147. He did a Broner. He went from 147 down to 140. And he was doing good. And then he fought Mayfield. And he won that fight. And then Terrence Crawford just destruct that shit right down once again. And what can I say?
LOL.
Yeah, but you know what? Catching somebody against Crawford, I don't think we have even scratched the surface with Crawford. He's that good. He makes everyone look bad. Everybody.
Crawford is not going to find real competition until he moves up to welterweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to see Verdejo against some can say not some fighters, not bums. Let's see him fight some people supposed to.
We got some mic issues
Yeah,
here.
you got some mic issues, JJ. You got some mic issues on you. And let's bring what you need into this. Your thoughts on this back and forth with in terms of Verdejo and his potential and how good he is.
I think he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. The problem with Verdejo, why he keeps getting caught in exchanges, is because he doesn't move his head. See, keeps his head on the center line when he starts to go into those wild exchanges, and so he gets caught. He doesn't roll and slip the punch in those exchanges, and that's a problem I've seen with a lot of action-packed fighters, Amir Khan, Manny Pacquiao, etc. You know, when they get into the exchanges sometimes and they're being offensive, they keep that head in the center line as they try to pile off left and right hooks. They get caught. So that's the only thing with him. He doesn't move his head at times. Okay. Now, other than that, I think he's a decent fighter. He's sharp. He reminds me not of a Thomas Delorme, but actually of a Miguel Cotto. Doesn't remind me of Tito Trinidad. He reminds me more of Cotto. The way how he kind of approaches things. But he's a much more dynamic Miguel Cotto. You know what I mean? And he's really got that left hook, boy. That boy got a left hook. He got a left hook. It's a pity his hand was bad, because if his hand was good, that boy would be out of there, I think, with that left hook. I think he would have taken him out of there.
I'm glad you raised that point. You know, after the fight, it was reported that he's got a damaged left hand, and he went into the fight with damage to the left hand. He's going to have surgery here sometime in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, he was fighting with a bit of a handicap right there.
I loved when he switched. I love when he switched to southpaw to get that left hook in on the other side of the dude.
Yeah.
It was kind of like target practice in the 12th round. But you know, I mean, he was trying to get that guy out of there. He was trying to get him out of there, but he could only use
So he
the
just
right
he
hand.
just didn't have the complete tools without the
No,
left
he didn't.
hand being completely healthy. So
Yeah.
do
And
credit to
I
him.
think at a certain point he didn't respect the guy's power, and he decided, I'm gonna mow you over.
Well,
So
after he took those shots in the 4th round and came through him just fine, he thought, this guy
Yeah.
can't hurt me.
I'm walking through this dude.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So he was trying to stop that kid. But the kid's tough. The kid's tough. You know, maybe a little bit more body work. You know, probably but that kid's tough, man. Narana's he's tough. He's tough.
Yeah, he deserves some credit here. He's better than I thought he was. And again, I like to see. Look, I think is Najera a world title challenger? But no, but he can certainly make some fights. Maybe on a PBC card or a Spike card. He can get some good fights and make some decent money.
Absolutely.
another thing I gotta say, because we're talking about the superstars, but these contenders, man, they ain't lying down for nobody. I mean, these guys, you would think it's a mismatch, and then you realize, oh, what's going on here? This is a fight.
Yeah.
So I really like this. I like this.
Let's move on to the news of the week. News actually that broke this weekend is Sergio Martinez, former undisputed middleweight champion of the world. At the time, was considered one of the best fighters in the world, say from 2008, 9, up until 2012 when he beat Chavez Jr. to unify the middleweight belts. He was considered one of the best fighters in the world. Body issues, age, attrition, problem with the knees, with the legs, ultimately proved his downfall. He announced his retirement. Very good career. Has some high-profile bouts, and now the mic is open to anybody. Your thoughts on the career of Sergio Martinez? The mic is open for anybody to answer.
He remind me on defense, he remind me on low state sense.
We've got mic issues there,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
you got some mic issues, J. Dill.
I'll go ahead and jump in. You know, it's a shame that Sergio's career had such a short shelf life, but he packed in some really terrific performances into that short shelf life. He came to boxing really late. You know, he had been a soccer player in Argentina, and then he had been a competitive mountain biker. A lot of his road training was biking. He did a lot of off-road biking. I think in the end, playing soccer all the years he did and mountain biking took a toll on the legs, and it was the legs that eventually betrayed him. I think he just had too much mileage on those knees, and what a shame. I like the way he handled himself. He's a wonderful representative of Argentina's boxing community. Interesting how many Argentinian fighters we now have on the scene, and I think they owe a lot to him. He opened the door for many of those guys. So I wish him well, and I think it was a real good decision.
Yeah, Martinez came into prominence, I believe, in 2008, beating Alex Bonima, then getting robbed against Kermit Cintron. That ultimately moved him up to fight against Paul Williams, which he lost. A lot of people felt he won, and he used that kind of steer him towards a title shot against Kelly Pavlik, in which he won the middleweight title. His most dramatic, significant win was the rematch against Paul Williams in 2010, I believe it was, where he knocked him cold in the second round. But to Gail's point about the attrition on his legs, it really told in the last maybe 3-4 fights. The Macklin bout he won, but I believe he was knocked down. The Chavez Jr. he dominated, but again was knocked down late. And then Murray, which I felt he lost, he was knocked down twice. And then the Miguel Cotto bout, when let's just face it, his whole body was shot, and Cotto destroyed him in 10 rounds. Taisha, what you need boxing at, and your assessment of the career of Sergio Martinez.
I really don't have an assessment. I'm just really sad to see him go so soon, like El said. The robberies, the greatness that he brought to the square is just phenomenal, and you hate to see a fighter of his caliber go so soon because of the his shot knees and other things that we don't know about, but I'm just sad to see the guy go. I really don't have much to say on his career except for it was exceptional, and I really enjoyed him as a fighter.
What you need boxing at it?
I'll go there then. So he's just an incredible athlete, wasn't he? Very good boxer, technical. He sort of came to prominence really with that knockout of Paul Williams. And obviously those injuries have took its toll over the years. And he's 39, he's 40. Well, he's the same age as me. He's 1975 actually. So he's at the end of his career. There was no point in carrying on with those injuries. But I was having a look through his resume actually, and just considering whether he would be a Hall of Fame fighter. And to be honest, I'm looking at his resume, and I thought he got beat by Murray. He got beat by Cotto. He beat Chavez, but Chavez is crap, as we know. Macklin gave him a hard fight. Barker gave him a hard fight. He beat Juriuk, who's a nobody, really. And his only real win was Paul Williams and Kelly Pavlik. So I'm not so sure whether he should be. I think he was.
Listen.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about the class of 2015 class of Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If Boom Boom Mancini can get in, if Boom Boom Mancini can get in, Sergio Martinez can get in.
Very good point. I would put him in only because of
That's
what
all
he's
I
done.
got to say about that. They
Yeah,
can put Ray Mancini in there. They can put Sergio Martinez in there.
I agree. We've had the conversation about Mancini. We'll get on to him. But yeah, I would put Martinez in just because of what he's done for Argentinian boxing. And, you know, when he did come to prominence, everybody wanted to see him because he was exciting. He was a great boxer and just an all-round great guy, really. So I would certainly put him in, yeah.
I'd put him in. And especially with what the next few classes of eligibility are. I don't think he's eligible till, what, 2018? He'll get in.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think the one thing with him, he didn't really come to prominence until he was well into his 30s, and you know where most fighters are at the end of their career. So he did exceptionally well, really. But I just wanted to make the point that looking at his resume, it ain't as great as I initially thought. That's all I'm saying.
I wanted to say that he was because of his cycling and soccer background, actually, he had good conditioning. And this is what he needed. Martinez was all about the feet. He was all about the legs.
Yeah.
The activity, the different looks, you know. And that's what made Martinez Martinez. What I wanted to say, though, I think hopefully his fight with Miguel Cotto was a good cash out. You know, he got some good money from that last fight because he never really got the big fights except for against Paul Williams. I guess that was his biggest fight. He was a dominant middleweight. You know, this was the guy to beat in the middleweight division. And another thing about Martinez I like, he kind of like was a Golovkin because it was a kind of situation where people didn't necessarily find him attractive enough to fight him. And so he kind of had to scavenge off of who he could find in his division to fight because the division wasn't that full, you know. And the guys at the lower divisions, you know, you remember he called out Floyd Mayweather when he was at 154, right? Because Floyd had won that belt from Oscar. And he wasn't attractive enough, you know. So he was kind of like a Golovkin, Erislandy Lara dude. He's kind of out there, you know, he's good, but like
Catch-22.
He's like everybody overlooks him. You know what I mean?
He was in a catch-22 for a lot of his career.
Right. So Kelly Pavlik was a big fight for him. That really platooned him. And you know, he was kind of an ordinary guy. You know, this dude early in his career he fought Margarito. And Margarito I think stopped him in the 7th or something like that. So, you know, he had an interesting career where I think it's inspiring for a lot of people, even old folks like myself, because I'm 42, and I was 75. And the truth of the matter is, for old folks like myself, and to just see somebody come into boxing at an older age, it tells you
I know. I'm laughing.
Older age. You know, he began somewhere in his late 20s, somewhere thereabout. You know, that's inspiring to people like myself. There's hope. You know, if I decide I want to go into boxing, maybe it could happen. Who knows?
The one good thing about Martinez is
probably get a title shot at 50.
Well, that's it. I'm thinking about a catch weight with Roy Jones at the moment.
There you go. You know what I mean? Because I'm seeing a lot of these older guys coming back into the sport of boxing, you know, and it's inspiring to the older folks. Even if you're not fit, you're a couch potato or something, you just get kind of inspired. Maybe I need to go do something. Maybe I need to go jog. Then I can go eat cake after. But I'm just saying that, you know, it inspires you to want to be more conscious of yourself and your health. Yeah. So That's what Sergio Martinez did. He showed people it's possible to perform at the highest level in boxing, and sometimes you don't have to be a prodigy. Sometimes you don't have to begin at 12, 11, 5, 6. You don't have to always begin at that time. And this guy, he did it, man. He did it. He did it.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about him, though, in his future. He's been a very smart businessman. He's a megastar in Argentina. He's a celebrity of the likes that, he isn't anywhere else in the world. He's got his own promotion company. He's going to do just fine.
Maravilla.
Maravilla Box. Yeah, it'll be fun to see him. And I don't think he'll completely disappear.
Let's move on. And what I'm going to do here, since we're a little bit pressed for time, we're going to talk about the Class of 15 Boxing Hall of Fame. But I'm going to break it down and allot certain people here on the panel, certain fighters, and give you the time to talk about that, since it was a pretty large class. We mentioned this guy. I'm going to go to you, Gail. Boom Boom Mancini, inducted to the class, International Boxing Hall of Fame class. We was asking about mentioning Sergio Martinez and if he's Hall of Fame worthy. Look, I kind of have my issues with Boom Boom. I put it this way: I put Boom Boom Mancini in the same category that I put Arturo Gatti in. Look, he got in. Most folks are not going to be mad that he got in, but my question is, I know I might get some pushback from this, some backlash. Is he really Hall of Fame worthy? And for me, I wrote about this maybe 2 years ago now on the blog about Arturo Gatti going in, and I'm going to say it now. How in the world are you going to put a Boom Boom Mancini in an International Boxing Hall of Fame, but leave a Nigel Benn out?
Yeah. Well, when somebody goes to the Hall of Fame, it's a contribution to the sport overall. If we were talking about strictly athletic achievement, strictly athletic skill, you'd see a lot of those guys not in there. But in a sport that is built in large part on personality as well, connection with the fan, how does the individual athlete represent and energize the sport? Do they further it by bringing more fans, a new generation to the sport? If you add all of those things in, Mancini and Gatti both make it in, because they drew the casual fan to the sport, who hopefully stayed to appreciate the technicians, to appreciate the Guillermo Rigondeaux and Eroslandi Lars of the world. And there is value in that. And if that is a criteria, then he earned his spot.
The problem is this: boxing is a global sport, not just a U.S. sport. And the argument is, from my perspective, the impact that Mancini brought here is equivalent to the impact and popularity that Ben brought to the UK. I'm just saying.
Very, very possible. Yeah, I don't have no argument with that. But because one guy doesn't make it in doesn't mean that, well, then the other guy doesn't get in either. And come on, the U.S. is a bigger stage than the U.K. It simply is, in sheer numbers and absolutely in economic power. That's the way it goes.
I'm gonna go to you on this one, Boxing Addict. I know folks in the UK have been wanting this for a while now. Prince Nassim, he's a Hall of Famer. If you really break down, he was a guy who held all 4 belts at 126. The argument could be made that he was an undisputed featherweight champion of the world during his time. Very exciting. Brought just as much exciting outside the ring as he was inside the ring. One of the hardest punchers, not just in the featherweight division, but in all of boxing, as far as I'm concerned, historically. Style, pizzazz, he was good with the mic, and I felt he backed it up too. The problem is, of course, with the loss to Barrera in 2001, he kind of disappeared. He had one fight after that, and you didn't see him anymore. But overall, your thoughts on the Prince making it?
Yeah, really happy about it. the Prince was just incredible. I used to love watching him growing up. He's from just down the road from me in Sheffield, and he's out of the Ingle gym. Um, he was just coming here. I remember watching him on TV as a young lad when he was progressing through the ranks, and he was just knocking everybody out with his style, flipping over the ropes. Everybody hated him. Everybody hated him in Britain until he got really big and he won a world title and he went to the States, and then we all got behind him. Which is usually the way, you know. Same happened to Chris Eubank. So Naz then went to the States and he proved how good he was. And I mean, you ain't ever going to get to see a better fight than Nazim Hamed against Kevin Kelly. The whole event, getting to the ring, they knocked each other down 3 or 4 times, and Nazim came back and knocked him out.
Oh my
Incredible.
God! The build up here in the States for that fight took place in December '97. The build up here, with us old enough to remember, was massive. I mean,
It's
the
incredible.
Adidas commercials, the buildings in Times Square all throughout New York City. For the first time, that was the first time I've ever seen a foreign-born fighter get so much publicity, so much press. It was ridiculous.
It was, and you know, the TV over here, they were doing a week-long sort of Nazim Hamed in Madison Square Garden documentary, and it was just all over. He was huge. He was on every big chat show, and he could back it up. He had the power. He's one of the hardest punching featherweights ever. He had serious power to knock you out. He had skill. He had the feet. He didn't mind taking a shot to land his sometimes. He'd hang his chin out there, but that was all part of the excitement, you know. What happened to him, like happens to most boxers, he started to get a lot of money. He then split up with his long-term mentor, Bernard Ingle, who looked after him since he was 8 years old, and he started living the high life, not training as he should.
Yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the end, really.
Yeah, which culminated in the Barrera fight, where he was going in through a lot of legal issues. He was then living out in the States. He wasn't training like he should. He thought he could go in there and win, and he came up against a really good fighter who beat him. And then from there, he came back to England, had a lot of problems. There was a couple of incidents which took him away from boxing, and he never came back, which was a shame. But for a while, for those few years, he was incredible. And, you know, if Nazim Hamed can't get into Boxing Hall of Fame, nobody can, you know, in my opinion.
I'll go to you on this one now, boxing. I mean, Jake, what you need. Riddick Bowe, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe, 88 Olympic silver medalist, won the world title in 1992, defeating Evander Holyfield in one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen historically. Lost the belt to Holyfield in '93, and then, if we're going to be quite honest, his career was really up and down from there. Fought Holyfield for a third time, I believe, in '95. Stopped Holyfield. Had the 2 fights with Galata. The first fight he was losing, but he got the decision via disqualification. And in the second fight with Galata, he looked really, really, really bad, and that was ultimately the end for him. But the induction of Riddick Bowe into the Boxing Hall of Fame, what you need, your thoughts?
I think based on his contribution against the Evander Holyfield, he's been in some wars where he should have boxed. He was in some wars. I think this guy, in many ways, because he's a heavyweight, he paid for it with his health. You know, sadly, Riddick Bowe has paid for a lot in his career with his health. He's, you know, his system is not the greatest right now. His body, but I must say, one hell of a fighter, great boxer. Didn't box all the time. Sometimes he made the fights much more difficult than they needed to be, but that was for the entertainment of the fans. The fans were entertained, and like they say, it's really what it appears to look like, and it's not really what it really is. So, you know, for the entertainment value and the excitement that Riddick Bowe fights was able to give us, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, just like Gaddy. Gaddy was an entertaining boxer. He didn't do what he was supposed to do in the ring sometimes, but he sure give you an entertaining fight, that's for sure. So I think in that respect, Riddick Bowe it deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, but he paid the ultimate price for it. He's paying for it with his health, though.
I want to lastly mention three more names that were inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Referee Steve Smoger, who I think was he's one of the better referees around during his time. He refereed Hopkins Trinidad, the unification of 2001. He refereed one of my favorite fights of all time in 1992, the bout between the first fight between Kennedy McKinney and Welcome Nita. If you hadn't seen that fight, do yourself a service and watch that fight. It's all over YouTube. McKinney scored a dramatic 11-round KO, which I believe, if it wasn't for Holyfield, Bowe won. That was my personal fight of the year. Just a fantastic fight. Also, boxing writer Nigel Collins, who I believe currently writes for the Ring magazine for ESPN right now, as well as Jim Lampley. Say what you want. He has been an integral figure in boxing for the past 30 years. First with stints on ABC, CBS, NBC, but really for the past 25 years or so with HBO, being a blow-by-blow guy, going back to 1988, I believe it is. So the floor is open for anybody. Your thoughts on Steve Smoger, Nigel Collins, and lastly, Jim Lampley.
Well, I'll start on Steve Smoger. I know there are a lot of fans of him out there. I'm not a huge fan of his, I'll be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not. I believe he allows fighters to get away with far too much. I know clinching and inside fighting is a big part of boxing, but for me, if you've got a fighter who holds on far too much, they need to be split up. And he allows them to wrestle at times, and his big thing is let the fight go. Well, I don't agree with you letting the fight go at times. So that's my only. But I know he's obviously been in the game a long time. He's had some big fights. So I'm not going to say anything too bad against him. But he's not one of my favourite referees.
I have to agree with that assessment of Smoger. Not my favorite, but he has been in the game a long time, and he's otherwise represented the sport very well. I don't think there's any issues of him doing anything shady, which is also to his credit. I think Collins and Lampley, if you're going to induct members of media, they're two fine representatives. Lampley has hung in there a long, long time, and he's getting a lot of accolades now and a lot of attention, but he went through some years of very lean attention. And Lampley's been a broadcaster in a lot of other fields. In Southern California, he's extremely well known. Lives here, lives right up the road from me. And he could have bowed out when boxing was down on its luck, broadcasting wise, media wise. He could have said, yeah, I'm going to move on to something bigger. He didn't. He stuck with it, and his reward was getting to call some big fights here lately, and all due credit to him. He's a guy that people have very strong opinions about, especially people who know him. They either think he's a complete arrogant, bastard, or that he's a good guy and easy to work with. I've never had any bad run-ins with him. I've only had pleasant encounters. But I've never been his producer either. So, and Nigel, class act, knows his stuff, quietly goes about his business, and that's very well deserved.
What you need? Your thoughts?
Well, is Al Bernstein in the Boxing Hall of Fame?
I believe he is.
I think so. Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Right.
Damn well should be. Yeah,
Right. Because I really love Al.
I
I
do.
really love Al.
Yeah.
Jim, but you know what my opinion of Jim Lampley is, so I'm not even going to vocalize it here today.
That's why
Say it. Say it,
you know,
man.
he's
Say
a
it.
polarizing figure. He is.
I don't
Say it,
think of
bruh.
him. I don't think of him as a journalist per se. Let me put it that way.
Well,
But he does have a good selection. He does have a good selection of words, but I don't think of him as a journalist.
no, he's
He's a
not. He's a
presenter, isn't he?
broadcaster, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, I actually like Steve Smoger, but that doesn't mean that what you are saying, the points you made, you and Boxing Addict, they're not true because Smoger sometimes lets the fight run so much that it's actually to the detriment of the boxers. I've seen some boxers get knocked out unnecessarily. I've seen boxers get severe damage in the Kirkland versus that boy from New York who got knocked out just recently again. I forgot his name. That was the fight that Kirkland fought before Alvarez.
Yes. It wasn't Garcia. It was somebody else, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was a Mexican name. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now, but he's from New York. And Smoger let that fight get out of control, and Kirkland hit that kid after Smoger came in between, and that's dangerous stuff, you know. But I like Steve Smoger though because I like that he reminds me of Pat Russell. Pat Russell lets you get it mixed up in there and do your thing. It's a fight, you know. Let it be a fight, you know. So I like that about. Pat Russell's a little bit more careful with what he does, but you don't see Pat in the action. You don't see Pat. You don't even know there's a referee refereeing the fight. You know, that's what I love those referees that they're not an integral part of the action. They're not too hands-on in the action. They let the fight take its course and they give guidelines and they shout instructions from afar. I love that.
Yeah.
And the fighters have to obey that. So I love that aspect of Steve Smoger, but yes, you are absolutely correct. He lets things go a little too far, and he and that other guy, I forgot his name, that's in Nevada. He reffed the Maidana Mayweather fight. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Oh, I forgot to.
I mean, he sometimes lets those fights spiral out of control, and he doesn't take control of the fight. And he's a good ref, don't get me wrong, but I've seen him time and time again do this. And sometimes he tries to be the other way, and then he overdoes it. So it's a balance.
Well, you know, at least Smoger's consistent in a way, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
One thing
you protect yourself at all times.
Well, that's true. That's true. One thing I wanted to add on Boom Boom Mancini. I think you know there might be a little bit of sort of sympathy because you guys will remember he had a fight with the Chinese guy. I think it was Chinese and
Korean Dooku Kim.
That's right. And there was a bit of a tragedy there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Where you know obviously he died sort of later on, but I think he spent a little bit of time out of the ring and he sort of gained a bit of notoriety through that at the time, I think. So when he came back, he then sort of made quite a bit of money coming back, and there was a bit of that involved, I believe. But I don't personally believe he should be in there, but you know, and like we were saying before, I think he can get in there for different reasons.
I think Gotti deserves to be in there more than he does. I think Gotti did more.
I'm just saying, the argument can be made that Boom Boom Mancini's best performance was the loss to Arguello in '81.
Yeah.
He beat Art Freas in '82, who was an average guy. Made a couple of defenses in '82. We know about the Dooku Kim bout, which took a lot out of him mentally and psychologically. But after that, 2 losses to Bramble. Who really did he beat after that? After the Kim bout?
It's a very good point. I mean, boxing-wise, he didn't really achieve more than many fighters, did he? But The other interesting thing about him is, of course, because of that fight and because of that tragedy, is the reason why we don't have 15 rounds anymore. And that's why most of the governing bodies took it back to 12 rounds.
You're right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, again, controversy. I know we may have some backlash, but again, look, I'm not that mad at Mancini getting in there. I just question whether he's really worthy. And again, I just think there are other fighters with greater resumes who should be there before he was inducted. So that's just my opinion on that. Let's move on to preview the bouts that's happening this weekend. Shawn Porter fighting Adrien Broner. On the undercard of that bout, Errol Spence, he's fighting Phil LaGreco. The return of Andre Ward as he's fighting Paul Smith. Hassan and Dom versus David Lemieux for the vacant IBF middleweight belt. Let's talk about Porter and Adrien Broner first. If you're around, Gail, the bout is being contested at 144 pounds. Been a lot of discussion over the past few weeks about catch weights. Porter's coming down for this fight. Broner, he's talking on Twitter like he's ready, like Porter's going to be easy work and whatnot. Some comments that made me scratch my head from Porter's dad, in which he was saying that he really didn't want this fight, but I guess the powers that be made Shawn Porter fight Adrien Broner. That made me take a step back there, and like my kind of third eye kind of opened there. Your thoughts on this bout, Porter versus Broner? Do you think that Porter having to come down an extra 3 pounds? Do you think that will weaken him or make him a stronger fighter heading to this fight with Broner?
Yeah, Porter's history has been interesting the last year or so. Of course, about a year ago, he lost to Kell Brook. Big surprise, in a decision, and it was a majority decision for Brook. Then a few months ago, he was on one of the first PBC cards and fought a last-minute replacement opponent for his original opponent. So he ended up fighting a guy named Eric Molina from Ecuador that nobody knew anything about, who'd literally taken the fight on days' notice, less than a week. And in the first few rounds, Bonet was really having the best of Porter. I was there at the fight, and a lot of us were looking around saying, damn, Porter is in trouble. Porter finally got his act together and managed to get out of that fight with a fifth-round knockout. And he was very lucky to get it, in my opinion. Bonet turned out to be a lot tougher than he thought. So now here we are. And he has got this chance against Broner, and I'm a little concerned about it. Broner has always had trouble making weight at the lower division levels. As he's moved up, his power really hasn't come with him. But he's had a few fights now in the larger weight classes for him, and yeah, I gotta wonder if he's settled in yet to those weight classes. The thing that Porter has over Broner that I do like is Porter's conditioning is pretty darn good. If he can wear Broner out and be the more active fighter, he's got a chance to win the fight. If Broner decides he's going to take it inside, play it dirty, lean on him, grab him, mess with him, Broner does that very well in his this stage of his career. I personally have an enormous dislike for Adrien Broner, and I'd love to see Porter pour a good dose of whoop ass on him. It would be very satisfying to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough. I think it is going to be tough. Shawn is going to have to think. Shawn is going to have to look for the dirty stuff with Broner because he is absolutely not above using it. It's going to be an interesting fight to see if that happens. But this is a fight where I am not neutral. I am rooting personally for Porter.
I'm gonna go to what you need. Errol Spence is fighting on the undercard against guy by the name of Phil LaGreco. Last minute opponent, last minute substitution. I'm gonna rely on. I'm gonna refer to you on it. I'm gonna lean to you on this on his opponent because I don't know anything about him. It's some insight on LaGreco. Have you seen him? And if you have, your thoughts on him?
He fought Shawn Porter to a decision. He's a decent fighter. Um, he's orthodox stance. He's got decent boxing skills. He's going to be a decent opponent for Errol Spence. Decent opponent. How Errol Spence handles this guy, we'll see. So it's short notice for both of them because they had to change up. What I'm very disappointed with is for the third time, I think it is, Garcia has not made weight. So either he needs to match up with a super welterweight, and he cannot match up at welterweight, or he just needs to leave boxing alone completely because either he's indisciplined, trying to take a contract and say I can make this weight and he can't make weight, or I think he was campaigning at super welterweight. He should just stay at super welterweight and fight somebody like a Lara or somebody like that. But don't, if you can't make the weight, don't do that and have people last minute trying to find another opponent. I think that was in poor taste. Now onto this guy Phil Greco. Like I said, he's a pretty good boxer. You can watch the fight against Shawn Porter. I think this is an opportunity for Errol Spence to make a statement on how good he is compared to, say, a Porter. So I think this is the ideal opportunity for that. And this guy's last minute, so Errol Spence is going to have to, like he'll usually do as you go up in the pros, he's going to have to learn this guy in the ring, adapt to him, and then do what he needs to do to him. So should be a good test for Errol Spence.
I'll go to you on this one, Boxing Addict. Fight that I think has the potential to be the best fight of the weekend. David Lemieux fighting Hassan for the vacant IBF belt on the 20th on Saturday in Montreal. The bout will be aired here for folks who are watching this or listening to us in the States. It will be aired here on Fox Sports 2, so you'll get a chance to see it. I will say it right now. Well, first of all, the Porter Broner. I know you want Broner to get his ass whooped, but I'm going to go with Broner. I think he has it in him to outbox Porter. I think Porter at times tends to be undisciplined when he attacks, fights too wild. And I think Broner, he doesn't use his legs like he should, but I think he's very good at close range with short inside shots. And I think the jab will be enough to get by Porter. Like I said, I don't know much about LaGreco, but Spence, for folks who listen to the show, I think very highly of Errol Spence. I just think he will find a way to win and win very comfortably. Now, in terms of the Ndam fight, Boxing Addict, I'm going to go with Ndam on this one. I think he's going to outbox David Lemieux. People will look at Ndam and say, oh, he doesn't have a great chin, he doesn't have to this. But Ndam has very good recuperative powers. He's tough. The jab is very good. The movement is very good. He throws very good combinations to the head and the body. I just don't know if Lemieux has enough to cut off the ring effectively against Ndam. And let's keep in mind that Lemieux doesn't have the greatest chin in the world either. Plus, he can be hit. He's shown in the past he can be hit. Even in the fight with Rosado. Rosado hit him with some shots. And if Rosado can find him, Ndam, who's the better overall boxer, I think he will find him too. I think he will do enough to win a decision. Your thoughts, Boxing Addict?
Yeah, well, I'll run through all three fights quickly because Errol Spence, for instance, I know we've talked about him before, but I've not seen enough of him. I know you rate him really highly, so I'm looking forward to seeing him. Broner and Porter, my prediction, if I get this wrong, I'll never make a prediction again. Porter will beat him. He'll beat him on points. I think he's going to be wild as usual, but I think it will work against against Broner, sorry. Broner has that defense, tries the shoulder thing, throws that big right hand. He tries to, he sort of looks at his opponent as if he's not hurting him. He gets hit and keeps marching forward. I think Porter is going to be very active. I think he's got good movement, even though, I mean, in that Kell Brook fight, I had it 6 rounds apiece. I thought it could have gone either way. So, you know, Kell Brook is now the guy that they're touting as being amazing, etc., etc. But Porter was a little bit unlucky to lose that fight, in my opinion. So Porter's still a very high-end guy, in my opinion. And I think Broner's a waste of space, personally. I think he can be beat by Porter, and I'll look forward to him beating him. On the end arm, you're absolutely right. Very skillful guy. He could outbox Lemieux quite easily. Can Lemieux get to him? That's going to be the exciting thing about this fight. Lemieux's going to go after him, come forward, throw those big shots. Can he connect? Can he you know, get him out of there? Because I think he'll have to get him out of there to win the fight. I think if it goes to points, Ndam will win. And Lemieux really wants a big fight with you know, a Cotto or a Golovkin or whoever it is. So he will really want to win that fight at home in Montreal. Great weekend of boxing. But yeah, I would go Porter, and I'm going for Lemieux for the knockout. I'll go Porter and Lemieux.
I'm going to leave the floor. Everybody has an opportunity to talk about this fight, the return of Andre Ward, after basically a 2-year layoff. He's returning to the ring versus Paul Smith. The fight's going to be at a catch weight of 172 pounds. The question is, will there be any signs of ring rust with Andre Ward? There's a bit of a campaign, a promotional push for Andre Ward outside the ring. I mean, hell, the brother was on The View a couple of weeks back.
What?
Yes.
No. Well, you can tell
Yes.
I don't watch that shit. Come on.
He was on The View talking about his career and his upcoming fight with Paul Smith. So the floor is open to anybody here.
Someone tell me what The View is.
The View is a morning talk show here in the States.
Can I speak to that one?
Yes, please.
It's a bunch of women with their just yapping gab fest, and it's a ridiculous show. So I can say that. I can get away with saying that. It's a bunch of women yapping. And something you could hear, something you could overhear at any coffee shop, just or wine bar, just about anywhere.
That sounds horrible.
But anyways, the thoughts on Andre Ward. Do you think you'll see any signs of rust, or do you think he will just be his usual impressive self?
I think it's really telling. God, here we are talking about a catchweight again on this show. We've got him at a catchweight. I think he will appear to be in very good shape, but if he was really in exceptional shape, he wouldn't need the catchweight. So I'm going to be watching for signs that you know, that's already telegraphing to me a message that maybe he's not in, you know, that walk around great shape he's always bragging about. And I think we're going to see some rust. I think he, you know, he's got a pushover in the ring. He's in his hometown arena. They love him. You know, he'll get a great reception. I'm not sure how much it will tell us about whether he's ready to rock and roll at the highest levels. I'm not the biggest Andre Ward fan. I think he's skilled. I don't think he's, you know, the next coming of boxing greatness that a lot of people do. So we'll see what happens. But I think if he was really all that, he wouldn't be fighting at a catchweight.
I think he has issues making. I think he may have issues making 168. He don't want to go through the struggle of getting down to that first time out. But that's just my opinion. What you need, Boxing Addict, thoughts on the return of Andre Ward?
I'll let you go, man.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just a precautionary measure that he's going at that catchweight. I think Virgil Hunter is the one that advised him to do that, coming off a long layoff, so that's why he's probably doing that. As to ring rust, I don't know. You know, these guys, these elite athletes, you know, you just can't tell. You know, this guy was, I think he is or was, I'm not too sure, #2 pound for pound in the world. So this guy, you know, I like his style. Obviously, I'm a boxing kind of boxing. I like boxing. I like the boxer, the pure boxer. So what I'm glad about is that he's come out of this contract deal. He's come out of all those legal issues he had. He's got the shoulder fixed up. So let's see what he looks like in this fight with this new shoulder, hopefully fixed shoulder. I want to see what will happen. I'm just curious, to be honest with you. So I want to see. Paul definitely has the opportunity of a lifetime. Just fought 2 world championships. He's not a world beater, but let's see what this guy who came out of fighting Arthur Abraham twice, let's see what he could do, if he could do anything at all. So this is his chance. Jump at Andre. Let's see what he can do. And these underdogs have been doing pretty well, so let's see what he can do. You never know.
So I have a big problem with this fight, actually. You know, like Gail was saying, it's been made at a catch weight. They've brought in Paul Smith, who's ranked, you know, number 5 in Britain as a super middleweight. And we're talking about a P for P number 2 here, you know. Now, I know he's been out for a little while, but he's coming back in and he's made a catch weight with Paul Smith, who is a small super middleweight, actually. And it's been made at 172 in Oakland. He's got every advantage in the sun. And, you know, he should be coming back and fighting a top-level guy, if he's that good. Not an elite fighter, maybe, but a good-level guy. You know, this is number 5 in Britain. So, for me, it's a terrible comeback fight. I want to see him next against somebody really top-level. He's got a lot of making up to do, Ward. So let's see. If he's moving up to light heavyweight, decide what you're doing. Fight the best at light heavyweight. Or let's see you in there with the Gale. Or, you know, there's a lot of stuff going out there about Froch ducked Ward. No, what happened was Froch offered him a fight in Nottingham and Ward didn't want it. That's what actually happened. He said he'd come to England and fight him at Wembley. Well, it wasn't a Wembley fight. You're not going to sell out 80,000 at Wembley because you're not a name, Andre. You know. So let's see him in there. He's a great fighter. He can be a P2P fighter if he continues fighting the best and beating the best. But he needs to start doing it because he's not done it for 3 or 4 years.
See, EJ Boxing Live decided to join us at the very end of the damn show, but that's all right. Unmute your mic, EJ. Unmute your mic, bro.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing all right. We're talking. Well, I'll give you a chance to go over the fights we're talking about. We're doing previews here, previewing Porter and Adrien Broner, Errol Spence and Phil Greco, and Dom and Lemieux. Your thoughts on that before I ask you about Andre Ward, his comeback in the ring?
Okay, yeah. Porter and Broner. You know, I don't know if you guys see it on Dante's Nations Boxing, where Broner invaded Porter's training session in Mayweather's gym, and he was basically, he reminded me of Muhammad Ali, man, and against Sonny Liston. He just invaded these quarters. He's being obnoxious, braggadocious, outrageous. It was fun, man. It was fun. You know, it was fun taking the mick about his football career. But I think it was more to do with his dad. And I think if you're going to try and get to someone, you have to try and attack someone who they care about. And he went straight for the dad. And I was interested. I was thinking, boy, I wonder how this is going to affect Porter. Because the dad is the tactician and stuff like that. And he might make Porter, because he so wants to get Broner out there, make Porter make bad decisions. And I was thinking, it's a pretty smart move. And I see Mayweather was in there trying to act like he was separated. But to me, I think Mayweather had a hand in it, saying, oh, man, this guy's over here. You know, you need to come over here, man, try to promote this fight. But it makes it very interesting, in the catchweight, to me, favours Broner. And I'm going to pick Broner in that fight. A lot of people may be picking Porter, more powerful. But I think if you take Porter down to a lower weight, he's not so powerful. And it comes down to boxing ability. I think Broner could outbox him, which I think he will do. He's got more versatility. But hey, I may be wrong, man. That's a very good fight. It's a shame with the PBC you're not going to get too much trash talking. I mean, they just come in the ring. There's no ring announcer. you're gonna get it on. So I'm just gonna visit that fight. Well, girl, what's so funny, girl?
I'm talking about you're right about the PBC. You know, it's not on a pay network here in the United States, so they have to drop the audio out all the time. But once in a while, they don't catch something, and it's quite entertaining to me. Because God forbid the little kiddies hear any cursing or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all. All the entertainment we're gonna get is pre-fight.
Yeah.
So that's as much as we can get. If it was a pay-per-view fight, it would be something. But I tell you, I don't know how that's gonna affect the Porters. Because to be honest with you, Kenny Porter's been talking a lot of jive though. He's talking a lot. You know, on social networks, he's been saying a lot of like things about Broner. And I think
Broner brings it out of you. I mean, how can you help it? You know, it's so damn irritating. So
yeah, you're right. Apparently he took.
And Broner is a shit talker. I mean, a complete shit talker.
Yeah.
And you take one look at his father, and you know where he got it. And God forbid, Adrian's going to be that size someday. So.
The way Adrian.
Well, the way he puts on weight in between fights. So
yeah.
You gotta watch it, sir. Watch it, sir.
The guy is a partier. Well, Michael, you're the one that pointed out that Broner, and of all people, Marcos Maidana, have been out there just partying and chowing down and drinking, and oh my God, talk about an odd couple. Shit.
But it's true. It's true though. It's true though.
Yep.
Oh, what the hell's going on with that? But yeah. What the hell?
Well, it seems as though they're buddies actually. See Marcus Maidana dancing with Broner, it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
And both of them are big.
All that face, both of them.
My opinion of Marcos went just like straight in the toilet when I saw that. Yeah. Marcos, somebody needs to talk to Marcos. Just like you talk to your 12-year-old and say, you know, if you hang around with the wrong people, you know, you're gonna
Marcus grew up with the wrong people all around him, man. Marcus is a ruffian.
Yeah,
he is. The thing is, the Broner, you know, getting past his obnoxious self, he's actually a funny dude, man.
Broner's a clown. Yeah, he's Broner a clown.
I don't like clowns either.
No, exactly, because you know that's what I'm trying to say. But in the profession he's in, he does that to relieve stress, kind of thing, to mock and the thing, and that's why Broner's the entertainer. He's the first.
He's you know, like if you had a bunch of mercenaries, Broner be the one telling the jokes, but killing you. But
he's still cool. Yeah, exactly. But he's still you know, Broner's still deadly serious. But we'll see fight night. We'll see fight night.
We will see.
This is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Two killers coming together. Okay, Broner's a dude. You watched him. You saw him fight Marcos Maidana. You know, he don't back down.
I don't disagree. And part of the reason that I'm so damned annoyed about the way Broner conducts himself is the same reason I'm annoyed with the way Chavez Jr. conducts himself, which is that they've got all the talent in the world. They have a shit for work ethic. They like to party. They like to smoke their weed, you know, and they like to blow up in weight. And, you know, get serious.
Broner's on another level.
He has much more talent than Chavez Jr. But I want to go back to you, EJ. Your thoughts on Ndam and Lemieux, and I'm picking Ndam here to outbox Lemieux. That's just my thought. Your opinion?
I'm picking the resurrection of David Lemieux. It's been good to watch. It's been good to watch, but I think he might come a crocker against Ndam. I mean, this is maybe Ndam's chance to shine. But you know, whether he can deal with the big lights is another thing, because Ndam, with the winner at this, should fight Triple G, and I don't really like their chances to get Triple G. Yeah. But if you want to put anyone, I think Ndam has the better chances, because he likes to box on the outside. And there's wonder if Triple G can cut the ring off to get to him. So I probably like Ndam's chances better, but it should be a very good fight for us fight fans and stuff like that to see where it goes on. So I'm picking Ndam, and I just still think David Lemieux still kind of flat-footed, come forward, and he's someone in front of you to stand with him to get off. But again, you've seen here when he went against Rubio, you know, he gets caught, he can go out. So you know, I'm picking Ndam in that fight. What's the other fight again?
Lastly, Andre Ward, his return to the ring against Paul
Yeah,
Smith.
Andre Ward's style of fighting, it doesn't dictate where he's not a reflex fighter. His fight is parry up close. He's got everything. He can fight inside, he can fight outside, and he doesn't really. He got a bit of speed, but it's not speed he's using. It's basically he's a technician. He just picks your punches off, beats you up inside, smothers you. And it's not really a reflex style. So that kind of style is an old school type of style fighting where he can just go on for years, and he doesn't really. He can be off for a long time and still perform at a high level. I still predict it. I mean, against Paul Smith. We got Paul Smith here. He went the distance with Arthur Abraham. Arthur Abraham's at super middleweight. He's never really knocked anyone out. So it's like, oh yeah, he went the distance with Arthur Abraham. If Arthur Abraham's at middleweight, well, that's something different. So I don't think this is gonna. Well, this fight's gonna be a catchweight as well, more or less. Andre Ward maybe moving up to light heavyweight. I don't think Paul Smith is designed for Andre Ward, to showcase Andre Ward, and that's what it's gonna be. I think he's probably gonna stop Paul Smith in spectacular fashion. It's good for Paul Smith to get shot, but you never know. I mean, if you want to bet on Paul Smith, some really good odds, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't know because we got the thing.
EJ, man, come on.
Look, brother. We can all dream. We can all dream, but that's not going to happen. Look,
no. You have to say it.
But here's the thing. Smith, he fought Abraham the first time. A lot of people felt that he beat him. That was a case of Smith putting on a career best performance, fighting over his head. We saw the real Paul Smith in the rematch with Abraham. That's the Paul Smith we know.
And it's small middleweight. It's small super middleweight. It's at 172 in Oakland. There's not a chance in hell Smith.
Andre Ward is going to win. Andre Ward is going to win. And I personally think he's going to look impressive.
Let me finish what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that this is boxing, peoples. Yeah, this is boxing. This is why we watch. We predict. We find out what's in the ring, and we might be shocked. None of us there with our mouths open. I'm just saying. If you're going to catch Andre Ward, it's a layoff. He's been on for a long time. Paul Smith might do something. We don't think he will. I'm just saying, if there's some good odds, if you want to bet some money, if you know that gambling die, I wouldn't personally think, because I think Andre Ward's probably going to win. It's going to be a showcase. But I would. But if you're going to catch Andre Ward, this is a perfect time. Paul Smith's been more active. He challenged our former world champion. So we'll see. But I'm picking Andre Ward in that fight, and we will see what happens. But to me, that fight is just going to be a probably showcase fight. The Andam fight. It's probably better, and definitely the Broner fight. You're looking about them two fights probably going to be fight of the weekend, in my opinion, and it should be good. And also, there's fights on Sunday, by the way, as well. I know everyone knows.
Yeah, DeMarco versus
Bartholomew is going to be on Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's another thing as which is saying. Francis Bartholomew. It's a 10-rounder, so I don't know. He's obviously moved up junior welterweight, and DeMarco, that should be interesting. I know Sammy Vasquez versus Wally Omatuso. Oh, that's cool. And Jadion Love versus Jason Estrada. No, is Estrada X? No, it's Estrada. But that should be interesting on Sunday because actually I've never CBS. I don't think they've done a card on a Sunday before. So
this is a first. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of draw. We've got hockey and basketball playoffs over.
Yeah.
So they've got some time to fill. What the hell? I love it.
Yeah, I like in that fight. I like Francis Bartholomew against DeMarco, Sammy Vasquez. I like Wally Omatuso. I like Wally Omatuso. He hasn't produced yet. I like him. He's a very good fighter. He's moved up. Obviously, he was at 140, so now he's moved up to 147. And Jadion Love should win the fight against Jason.
He should.
Yeah, Jason should win that fight. But this is good though because it seems like we've got boxing all the way through the week, and it'd be very interesting to see. Another thing I want to point out is Oscar De La has come out and said he's not going to come back, not going to face me with a rematch. He said he's happy doing his Golden Boy thing, which actually was surprising because it seemed like he was going to come out of retirement because his confidence.
Never bought it.
I know.
Bought it.
It seemed like company was going downhill. It seemed like his company was going. Golden Boy looks like they've dropped their stock. It looks like the stock has gone down big time since everything's gone down. So. But we heard it, but obviously he's come out and just shut that down. But Floyd said they'd give him a rematch. I tell you what, if that fight happened, how many of us would watch it? I think it would be a good fight. I'd watch it. I'd like to
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'd rather see Floyd fight Oscar than Amir Khan, but that's what we're going to get, everybody. Just you know, just
how you
get
think
rid
the numbers would do? The numbers would. You think the numbers? I think the numbers would probably. Hey, do you reckon the numbers would?
The numbers would be great, but come on, De La Hoya was messing with everybody, and you know, it was the same as him saying he'd come out of retirement to fight Triple G. What the hell?
I mean, look, man. Just because he put up some posts on pics on Instagram with his shirt off, that doesn't mean that he's coming out of retirement.
Oscar,
child, please.
He never
confronted by the TMZ sports guys in LA. You know, he's out and about, and he decides he's going to screw with them. And he has no idea that anyone was going to take it at face value. And so, you know what? He decided to run with it. And I say, good for you, Oscar. You know, I like a guy with
what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Mayweather saying he's going to fight Berto? Or
oh my God!
What's the other guy's name?
Yeah.
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight, man.
No, it's not.
Well, absolutely not.
It's a good fight, man. That fight should happen years ago.
Kareem
Mayfield and Berto. Come on, man.
Let me say this.
I know he was just messing with people, but still.
Yeah,
for folks who ask about why Mayweather doesn't knock anybody out, put him in the ring with Broner. He knocks him out.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be an interesting fight.
And nobody wants to see that fight at this point.
Mayweather's just trying to pad the record for the 50 fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll tell you who else outside.
Not acceptable.
I'll tell you, we're going to talk about Floyd, but to end the show, the one other outside opponent might be the winner of the Bradley Vargas fight next weekend, because they are going to fight for a belt. And
I don't know if they're fighting for a belt.
Yeah, there's a belt involved. So
yeah, it is.
I think he said that the WBO didn't give him the belt, so he hasn't relinquished any belt.
Right. So it's the title that's the belt that Vargas and Bradley are in theory fighting for, depending on.
Bradley would be more interesting. Danny Garcia would be more interesting. Andre Berto.
Well, I think Bradley would be an interesting fight, and I'd pay for
I absolutely agree with you.
I think that'd be a good fight.
Timothy Bradley versus Floyd Mayweather would be a great fight.
Yeah, and it's another one of these good versus evil types of fights. And Bradley, in theory, at least on paper, beat Pacquiao. So, not bad fight.
No, I say it categorically. He beat Pacquiao the first time. I actually am one of those who believe that.
I disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
That's your opinion. It's your opinion. I have no problem with that, but I can back it up with my scorecard.
Yeah, what's that?
If you watch it in slow motion, upside down, you might see that.
No slow motion. Just go it by rounds.
I think the pound for pound boxing report has deteriorated into the wee hours.
Nah, man. Nah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
He's a good matchup, though. I think he's a great matchup.
I think I think that we might see that. I hope we see that instead of Khan. I do.
I hope. If Jesse Vargas doesn't get the decision.
It's not. It's in Vegas, right? It's in Vegas, right?
It would of course be in Vegas.
Oh, then he has a shot to get a decision.
Mayweather doesn't have a fight anywhere else.
Yeah, but look, Colin and Bradley are going to be. At least they're going to give Mayweather a fight. I mean, De La Hoya and Berto, Jesus Christ.
That was trolling. That was never serious.
Yeah, that was trolling. Folks can't sit there and be all kinds of mad at the fight with Pacquiao, but then be accepting of a fight with Berto or De La Hoya.
Hey, before we go, I was wondering, is Errol Spence got an opponent yet? Because thinking he couldn't make the weight. Was it?
Yeah, what you need broken down. Give him the info again. What you need.
Phil Greco is the opponent that he's facing. The same guy that faced Shawn Porter. You can go check it out.
The same guy, the one who gave Shawn trouble.
Yeah, that went the distance, unanimous. Yep, that guy.
Oh, that's good. Well, at least they got
a decent dude, decent fighter.
I think they should have got someone like a Kareem Mayfield, man. They should have got someone like that.
Nah.
No?
You know what would happen with that fight?
What would happen?
He'd flatten him, man. Flatten Mayfield. Flatten him.
Well, Errol Spence needs to step up a bit, so we'll see in it.
Well, they're talking about if he wins this fight, he might face Keith Thurman next.
No, Mayfield's holding out for Mayweather.
Really? Oh, he can hold out. He can hold his breath. I'm gonna get that. Yeah, I heard Errol Spence gave Floyd that work. That's what I heard in the gym.
Yeah, he did. He sure did.
He did supposedly knock Floyd down, so.
He gave Floyd and Broner that work. So.
Well, he really gave Broner that work, but supposedly
Hey,
the rumor.
what's your guys' take of Broner's, what he did Muhammad Ali style crash to him? Do you think it's out of nerves, or what do you guys think? Because I think
no, actually, his trainer Mike Stafford said that it was their time. So Porter and they had overspent their time, and it was their time for the ring time. They had overspent their 35 minutes. So it was Broner in their time. So Broner went into the ring and started to claim his territory.
Wow, Broner's good at it, man. He good, man. He Muhammad Ali them, boy. It was funny though. It was funny. He made Shawn Porter's a cool dude and stuff, but I don't know how anyone would deal with someone attacking your dad.
Sean Porter gonna take it out on him in the ring. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, let us only hope so.
That's what you call EJ a troll move.
Yeah, but Sean didn't seem like he was too bothered. I think it's his dad. Sean, see, he attacked his dad. His dad is the mouth, man. It's like Danny Garcia. He attacked the dad.
Porter's a pit bull, man. Porter's a pit bull. That boy, once you lose him, it's going to be football, it's going to be boxing, and it's going to be wrestling.
Let's hope so.
It's going to be everything. But I think Broner, you're going to see some things in Broner that you never saw before. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I hope that means that we're going to see it flat on his face.
Well, you remember I talked about Canelo Kirkland? Well, okay. Watch and see what happens in this fight.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think we're going to shut the show down on that note. I'm gonna go around the panel here and give opportunity for folks to let folks know where they can follow them if they want to talk boxing, anything else. EJ Boxing Live, who joined us late, but that's okay. If folks want to talk boxing or anything else, let folks know where they can hit you up. And then let me say this, EJ Boxing Live, that Game of Thrones finale.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, hey, Game of Thrones, man, that thing done tell you, that rips you up, man. But
that annoyed me, man. But that annoyed me, bro.
I was gonna say, so you can catch me EJ Boxing Live on YouTube. You can EJ Boxing Live on Twitter. Also, I'm gonna start do my hangout on Mondays, at 10 o'clock on season 1 of Game of Thrones. I'm gonna start episode 1, and then I'm just gonna work my way to the season, work my way through until we finish off. But the last episode, season 5, episode 10 was Jon Snow dying. It's just that's done a lot of people in, but we'll see what happens anyway. So that's EJ Boxing Live on YouTube and Twitter. So that's it. You guys are welcome. You guys are welcome to join if you're interested. Anyway,
if I can make it home from working time, absolutely. But Gail Falcon-Thaler Communities Digital News. Let the folks know where they can find you if they want to talk boxing or anything else.
My column is in Community Digital News, diginews.com. This week I'm going to use my time just for a quick shout out. This weekend in San Diego, there's going to be a charity boxing tournament. I think it's 15th year. It's called Battle of the Badges. It's raw, complete amateurs fighting 3 amateur rounds, and all the combatants are either law enforcement or active duty military. It's a blast. It's a great fundraiser for a terrific youth boxing program in our area. And so I'm going to give the shout out to their website. If you want to check it out or support it, it's CYAC, Community Youth Athletic Center. CYACteam.org is where you can find them, or you hit me on my Facebook page and it's all there. And we're going to see some crazy ass fights this weekend with that. It should be a lot of fun. And I'm going to put up a little video once we're done so you get to see these guys. All in good fun, and they raise a lot of money for these kids, including a young woman who's ranked #1 in her weight class and age group in the nation. So we'll see what happens with her.
Okay, cool.
Mr. Boxing Guy is joining us live from the UK, as well as DJ Boxing Live. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yeah, you can get me at Mr. Boxing Addict on Twitter and on YouTube. And I'll just sign off by saying Jon Snow is not dead.
Correct. Correct.
He's dead, man. He's dead. He's dead, man.
For those in the know, He's not dead.
That was in
Spoiler.
the books.
For
People
those who hadn't watched the spoiler alert,
Nah, they don't spoil him, man. He's dead, man. I'm
Not
gonna.
dead.
I saw him die. I saw him bleed out.
Let me
EJ,
clarify. He's not
EJ, have you read the
permanently
book?
dead.
Now that's what we're debating. People, look, I've seen with my own two eyes. The books will tell you something else. So
Not
That's
permanently dead.
the books will tell you. In the books, let's put it this way: in the books, he's not dead. In the TV series, he's dead. That's why.
In the novels, it's very ambiguous as to whether
Yeah.
he's dead or not.
Oh,
But
see, yeah. I saw a knife go in him like that, and Julius Caesar's type Brutus.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to become his wolf.
Yeah, everyone says that.
that's one of the theories.
People gonna get heartbroken when they come to next season, and that ain't happening. So we'll see. Boxing Anecdotes, welcome to join the podcast, man. We can debate.
Nice.
We can debate all day. But go on.
what you need for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can find you.
Well, we just basically talk boxing, and you can find me on What You Need, WATTUNEED, on YouTube.
Jay Dill, who had technical issues on his end, want to find out about him. Jay Dill on G Plus and YouTube. John Aristotle on Facebook. The information, I forgot his Twitter handle, but if you want to find him, talk about boxing or anything else, there's main places you can find him. I also want to thank Taisha Lacey for joining us earlier in the show. She will be a part of the women's show. I'm going to make that happen come hell or high water. Also want to thank, she had to dip out early, tend to her child, mommy duties, if you will. So if you want to find out more about me, Brother JR76 on Twitter. Found out anything else about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Again, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. That's the blog page. You will find all the links you want to find us on social media. And I said it before the show, and I'll say it now at the end. A rough week for me personally. My condolences to the 9 people who were shot and killed. As far as I'm concerned, again, I consider it a hate crime. I consider it an act of domestic terrorism. The 9 people who were killed at the Emmanuel AME Church last night by some deranged racist nut. My condolences. My heart goes out to them. So I do the show even though I was laughing and whatnot. I kind of got my heart is heavy because that happened in my home state. So I want to thank Gail. I want to thank Jay Dill. I want to thank Mr. Boxing Addict. What You Need, Taisha, for joining me on the show tonight. I needed this. Let's just say I needed this because it hasn't been a good day for me. I'm going to take some time off from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, mainly to get this women's show going. We're going to have part 2, Gail, of Pound for Pound Boxing Report, Ladies Love Boxing Show. Hopefully in July. The plan is to have it next month in July, so I'm going to take some time off to get everything organized there. So again, for EJ Boxing Live, for Gail Falkenthal, for Mr. Boxing Addict, Jay Dill, Taisha Lacey, What You Need, I am Michael. This has been another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. You guys have a good evening. Good night.
Right.
Right.